Call the Bremen High School District 228 Board of Education bond hearing meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Canning?
Here.
Mrs. Gleason? Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Camper here. Mrs. Ressler?
Here.
Ms. Stearns?
Here. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. O'Malley, start us off with our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board members, we want to play a listen to the Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom O'Malley, the Assistant Superintendent of Finance for the school district. Tonight, myself and Rob Grossi, who is our financial consultant with Crystal Financial, will be presenting a presentation regarding our qualified school construction bond program and the financing that goes along with that. Rob will be joining us shortly. He's en route from another school board meeting. Rob is a recognized authority throughout the state. He works with a number of school districts as a financial consultant pertaining to their bond issues. Tonight we're going to be presenting the financial plan as it pertains to the QSCB, commonly known as the Qualified School Construction Bonds. We're very excited throughout the district. Our students, our staff, our community, this is a very exciting time for us. This gives us an opportunity to provide a significant amount of upgrades throughout our 4 campuses, which is going to greatly enhance the programs that we provide for our students, as well as it's going to increase the values throughout our communities, and it's going to have an overall positive impact on the district. I'm just going to go through some of the things that we're going to go over tonight, including the district's recent bond rating from Moody's, the tentative timeline for the bond issue, the current and the proposed debt service levy that we'll see and how that's going to impact taxpayers, the impact of the qualified school construction bonds on all of our taxpayers. Come on in, Mr. Grossi, we introduce you. Did you get your card pass from the dean's office? Yes. And we're going to also go over the benefits of the plan. Some of the things in terms of the qualified school construction bond. It provides an opportunity for districts to do upgrades, renovations, and improvements throughout their school facilities. This is a carryover program. If you remember back in 2009, a program called ARA, which was American Reinvestment and Recovery Act, was a federal program where dollars were infused into many states to stimulate jobs and growth in the economy. The state of Illinois was given dollars back then, but they sat on them for this QSCB, and then school districts found out last November, so just about a year time from prior to now, that this program was going to start being opened up for school districts to apply. So immediately, we talked about that at our district office, and we put together an extensive application because we wanted to make sure that we did in fact capture this great opportunity. And it's again, it's a federally qualified program which provides very low cost bonds to the districts. In fact, the interest that the school districts pays for, or the taxpayers pay, excuse me, for the bonds gets reimbursed through federal subsidies. So very important piece. There's a number of things that we've been wanting to do, a wish list that we've created over the years in terms of enhancing our capital projects and our campuses, but really never, because of all the financial difficulties throughout the state and with many school districts, particularly in the south suburbs, we've never really had the opportunity to do that. And when this program came along, we jumped at the chance. So there were 193 school districts in the state of Illinois that applied for this. 29 districts were awarded the program, and we were one of 3 school districts to capture the full value amount, which was $50 million. So again, very exciting times for us as we look forward. Now recently the district went through the bond rating process and was evaluated by Moody's. There's 2 major rating companies. You have Moody's and Standard & Poor's. This is a very important process for the district because it sets a bond rating which then is going to trigger an interest rate range of where the bonds will sell at. And we were very glad to report that the district, because of improved financial conditions over the last number of years, including building up our fund balances and reducing our deficit, we were given an uptick in the bond rating. And that's very rare in the state of Illinois because everyone is aware just the financial difficulties that the state is having. It already comes in as a black eye for districts trying to go through the rating process because we're in Illinois alone. So we were very excited. We had an extensive review process with Moody's, and the result was we increased our bond rating from an A+ to a AA-, an uptick which we project to generate a savings when we go out to the market in terms of dollars in interest, which will ultimately be to the taxpayers of a range from $2 to $2.5 million based on that increased rating. So that was a significant component that we were very excited about. Now at this time I'm going to bring Mr. Grossi up and we'll kind of go through the tentative timeline for the bond issue and then cover the other items that we talked about. This isn't something that was just sprung tonight. We've been going through this process for a while. We approved a resolution in May, a parameters resolution to allow us to capture any expenditures. In October, we went through the debt certificate resolution at the board meeting, and we had a call for the sale of the qualified school construction bonds. And this month, we've closed on the sale of debt certificates, which Rob will get into a little bit. And tonight we're holding our public hearing, along with our notice of intent to issue. And then in December, January, we will approve the bond resolution and we'll close on the sale. And under this timeline, we're going to be able to utilize the summers of 2016, 17, 18, and 19 to complete the project. The caveat with this QSCB program is once a district issues bonds, they have 3 years to complete the construction process and pay out the $50 million in projects. And if a district doesn't complete within that timeline, then they forfeit any remaining funds back to this program, and then they reallocate them to another district. So, Rob, you want to jump in and talk a little bit about our existing debt service tax levy, and then we'll get into what's going to be projected.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board. I guess I just want to, before I talk about this, I just want to briefly talk about the timetable and back up from that for a second. School districts basically, there's different types of bonds that school districts can borrow, and there's different types of statutory limits on how much they can borrow. So, of the 29 school districts that are doing qualified school construction bonds, there's only one that I know of that has the borrowing authority to just do it through one phase of borrowing. So as a result, Bremen High School, and I just came from a school board meeting just now that's starting their second phase of borrowing, has to issue what's called funding bonds. And funding bonds are used to pay outstanding claims to the district. So in order to do that, the district needed to do a short-term borrowing. So because of statutory limits, the borrowing had to be in 2 phases. And again, this is similar to, I believe, 28 of the 29 school districts that are doing this. The first phase of the financing has been completed. As of yesterday, the district received the $50 million in the bank to start spending on capital projects.
From the sale of the debt.
From the sale of the debt certificates. What today's meeting is to start the second phase of the financing. which is to issue the qualified school construction bonds, which will be the bonds that the district has 3 years to spend the money on. If you look at this graph, you can see it. This is the tax levy that's associated with this school district's debt on an annual basis. So every year, the tax levy, and I started in 2010, has been about $9.5 million a year. So 2010 through 2015, which is the gray bars, the tax levy has been $9.5 million. For the next 2 years, the district's debt is going to be another $9.5 million, and then it drops down to about $5 million. Part of what the Board of Education was adamant about in structuring this new debt was that not only would it provide funds to help improve the facilities of this district, which in turn, in theory, would improve the communities as well, but also to provide tax relief to the taxpayers in terms of reducing their annual debt. So this was an important part of this plan, and you can see that under this proposed financing structure, the tax levies of the school district, which are currently about $9.5 million, will drop to approximately $4 million. So the annual tax burden to the taxpayers should drop at about $9.5 million after this financing. In terms of how that would provide tax relief to the taxpayers, for a $100,000 home, the approximate savings would be about $115 a year. A $150,000 home would be $170 a year, and a $200,000 home would be approximately $230 a year in savings.
And this is an actual savings that taxpayers will see in terms of what they're paying.
Right. Yes, in fact, I mentioned to the Finance Committee, there's 2 parts of the tax levy. The first part, there's 2 parts of any school district's tax levy. The first part is the non-bond levy, and the other part is the bond levy. So the non-bond levy, which the board approves every December, can increase by the rate of inflation. There's a limit, statutory limit. So that's at the second lowest level it's ever been. So it's 0.7% this year. Last year was 0.8%. So that portion of the bill for the district is going to go up less than 1%, and the other portion of the bill is going to begin to drop. So in aggregate, the taxes paid to Bremen High School, you have other taxing bodies on your tax bill, but the taxes paid to Bremen High School will be dropping rather significantly, starting in about 2 years, and they're going to be relatively flat until that point. So I guess summarizing some of the benefits that we just mentioned. The one that we haven't mentioned. One of the aspects of the federal subsidy that's attached to this qualified school construction bond is that the district's going to receive an estimated $2 million a year from the federal government over the next 25 years as a part of their incentive to have the school district do this construction project. These funds will be used to help reduce the deficit, help preserve programs, staffing, and things of that sort. This is a source of revenue that the rating agency really put a lot of weight in assessing the long-term financial strength of the school district. This will be money coming from the federal government, unrestricted. The district could use it for any purpose, and it will be used to help bring down the deficit, help get the district closer to a balanced budget, without having to make expenditure reductions that would impact student learning.
Rob, those funds from the federal government are not going to be impacted at all by the state of Illinois. If they decide to change their proration on general state aid or any of those things, we're secure in terms of those federal subsidies still being there, correct?
Yes. In addition, and the funds could also be used for other capital projects over the next 25 years as the district deems necessary. One of the issues that I want to bring up is that, and this is another way that we think is providing a benefit to the school district. The district is going to get $50 million worth through the issuance of qualified school construction bonds. And then in addition to that, in order to make sure that the district keeps all $50 million, all the costs associated with the financing, including bond insurance, which you have to get, you're going out 25 years, the investors want to be competent with the extra insurance. All those costs are part of the structure is that the costs will be paid out of surplus funds that are sitting in the district's bond and interest fund right now. So the district, this bond and interest levy that occurs every year, over the years the district has accumulated a surplus. That surplus is very restricted in its use. It can't be used for teacher salaries, it can't be used for programs, it's restricted to debt service. So what the district is going to do, which is something that other school districts do that have this opportunity, is that they're going to pay for all those costs by doing, without getting into the technicalities, but they're going to do a short-term borrowing with themselves, no fees attached to it, and in essence create a legal way of transferring the bond and interest funds to pay for all these costs so that the full $50 million is available for the district for capital projects. So the district, when it's all said and done, will have $50 million net to cover their capital projects, which is my understanding, they need all those funds.
Correct. That's the intent of the tentative capital plan now would include that full $50 million.
Right, and that's why the second phase of this financing asks for $52 million when the first phase asked for $50 million. That they're only borrowing $50 million. The other part of the transaction, it just has to do with, in essence, a creative way to do a legal transfer from the bond and interest fund to the capital projects fund for the costs. So summary of the benefits of the financing plan is that and again, I've had the opportunity to be at several of the finance committee meetings that have several discussions with administration. The first one is really important, reducing the annual tax burden on all taxpayers to the tune of approximately $5 million beginning in year 2. Number 2 is to strengthen the district's financial condition to better address all the uncertainty that's happening in Springfield that affects school districts by getting $2 million a year from federal subsidies for the next 25 years. Third, actually this was put together before the bond rating, but it did turn out to be a net positive for the credit rating. That helped, that $2 million surplus helped the district, our subsidy helped the district with its credit rating. It also delays the need for the district to borrow funds for operational deficits. Historically, the school district, and by historically I'm talking 20, 30 years back as far as I know, the district has had to borrow on an every 3 to 5 year basis to cover operations, to help pay for programs and staffing and things of that sort. By getting the $2 million a year into the bank every year, number one, and by addressing your capital needs with these funds rather than your budgets every year, this will help prolong and for many years, hopefully, depending on what the state of Illinois does, the need to borrow any further for capital needs or for operational purposes. This also creates greater ability to use fund balance reserves to pay for non-qualified expenses. There's only certain types of capital expenses that can be used with these funds, and one that's not included in that list is turf fields. But the district can use the subsidy and fund balance reserves to pay for turf fields if they decide to go in that direction. And then the final phase is that school districts are a perpetual entity, and fiscal stability, academic success, and strong facilities help to keep communities stable. And I think one of the overlying desires to do this project is that when it's all said and done, the district believes that they will have facilities that will be greatly improved, providing greater opportunities for their students, providing greater stability for the communities, and provide a better learning experience for the students of the district.
This presentation is available on the district website if you want to go back and review it at another time. At this particular time, we first entertain any questions from our board members, and then we'll open it up to the full public.
The people that's going to do the construction, have we did all of that yet?
We haven't determined that yet. Phase 1 will be bid out next month, so that will be a public bid. And then once we receive those bids back, it'll be determined as to who the contractors are going to be to do that work in phase 1.
Is that just for the field house?
Phase 1 will start this spring, and that's going to be the retention, the detention issues that we have on our campuses. So we'll deal with the existing conditions. We'll also create retention and detention for future additions, because every time you build something where there used to be grass, now you have to provide for the retention and detention of that. So all the retention, detention issues will be taken care of this spring and throughout the summer. And phase 1 also consists of installation of turf fields at 4 schools, because we're going to be utilizing, because we're very landlocked in terms of our green space, we're going to be utilizing our space underneath the football fields to create some of our detention that's required.
A question for Mr. Grossi. Yes. You just mentioned that because of the construction bond, we wouldn't have to levy or borrow money down the road for other infrastructure improvements. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure.
Because I know that we're not going to touch on everything in our district with $50 million.
Right.
We may need roofs down the line. We may need, parking lots and other things that we're not addressing with this money. So we're still going to need money in the future. Correct?
That's correct. So there's a certain dollar amount that's allocated in the budget for capital projects.
Correct.
And like you said, there will be things that come up that are unexpected. There's things that may come up on a regular maintenance basis. But then there'll also be things that will be touched upon as the district moves forward in their operation. The maintenance of the fields, for example, if the district goes with their field, that would be a cost reduction. So in general, it doesn't cover all the costs of expenditure, and that. But it certainly should lower the amount that's necessary with future budgets. And then having that extra $2 million a year to perhaps address a roof here and there or whatever has to be done, that will be available that wouldn't be available otherwise.
Right. I just didn't want people to think that because of this situation, they can run out of here and say, oh, 228 never has to borrow again for infrastructure.
That's correct. That's correct.
That would be the wrong message that we would send.
There will certainly be things,
yes,
but hopefully at a much smaller quantity.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
So that $2 million actually could cover maybe some improvements, like if we do need, like.
We've earmarked that annual $2 million for the first 7 years in our tentative capital plan. So we've earmarked some things, and we're going to have further discussions and presentations as we move along in that process. But yes, we've already earmarked some of those dollars. But then again, in the future, as we get beyond that and we complete that 7-year capital plan, then we can earmark some of those subsidies towards other things, like Mr. Canning's mentioning, that could tentatively, come up. If you may need a new roof here, or
the first couple of years is going to be used on things that are put on the wish list that we wanted to do that we've been able to put off.
So that's where we got the 74 million.
Correct.
Okay.
We combine the 50 with the subsidies with a budgeted amount that we've typically been budgeting each year for capital projects. That's where we came up with the $70+ million for the 7-year tentative plan.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other board member questions? Turn it over to the audience. Any questions from our audience?
Can you please stand?
How you guys doing? I heard you speaking on turf.
Excuse me, can you state your name?
My name is Alonzo Brown. I heard you guys speaking on the turf. Is that for all the schools in the district?
That's correct. Yes.
They'll all
Each
be
school
done at the
will
same
have
time?
a turf field.
Okay.
Yes, and the intent is to complete all of those at the same time. We have one hiccup at Tinley Park because we have no outfall in terms of where we can put our water. Currently, right now, the outfall is discharging into the forest preserve. So we are scheduled to be on the Forest Preserve's board meeting agenda this Thursday to work out a compromise with the Forest Preserve so that we could create a viable opportunity to discharge our water onto Forest Preserve property that's currently unused. That's the only hiccup that we foresee right now. If that gets rejected or delayed, it could push Tinley Park out from the other 3 schools, but the goal and the intent is to get all 4 schools completed starting this spring, and then the work will continue through the summer, and the goal is to have those turf fields up and ready to go for the start of the fall season. Yes, sir.
I'm Juwan Garth. I'm a masonry contractor. I do a lot of work in the city of Chicago, fathers, public schools, fire departments, police departments, and with that federal funding that they have for the city of Chicago, is always set aside for minority participation and community hires. With the federal money that's coming down for 228, with you guys have the same requirements for this minority participation and community hires?
That's a great question. Rob, I'm not aware of the requirements pertaining to what you just mentioned for the Qualified School Construction Bond Program. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not.
Well, I mean, the funds will flow through the state of Illinois with the state of Illinois' oversight, and it's my understanding, it's something that's worth looking into, but it's my understanding that the state is kind of governing how the funds are going to be spent, and the application for how the district was going to spend the money had to be approved by the state Board of Education. So that's a question that's worthy of finding out, but I'm not aware of that. I'm aware of the requirement, but I'm not aware that it applies to these funds.
Typically, though, the school code says that we have to go with the lowest bid on anything else. So while we're saying we don't know, that's how the school code is right now.
Okay, I understand that far as the lowest bid,
right.
But the opportunity for the young kids in the community or the older ones that's in the community that's out of work and looking for work, because if that's the case, something needs to be put out to the public to let them know what's going on with the school district, because by the time the construction starts, and if don't nobody know about it, if you want to be a laborer, for instance, if it goes union, the bottom scale for a laborer is $40 an hour. That's what they get on a check. But if you wait till that time the construction start, don't nobody know about it, then they say, well, you're not properly trained to be on a construction site. Well, they have a school right down in the city where you can be trained before construction even start, giving the community the opportunity to make some of the money that's being put into it.
Yeah, that's something we'll definitely look into.
Sir, if you give me your name, maybe an email address or a phone number, we can get in contact and we can talk more about that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You leave it with Mr. Voss.
Okay. So, excuse me. So the only restrictions that we're aware of is we have 3 years to spend the funds, correct? And can you go over now the other restrictions? Like you said, the turf fields could not be part of this, but because of the subsidies, we'll be able to do the fields with that money.
The specific fund, and again, that's not the federal guideline is broad capital projects. The state of Illinois made a decision to limit their scope on how the funds can be spent. So within the application, the district, although it's fairly general what they applied for, the district actually called Tom for follow-up on some of the specificities. But some of the questions, because a lot of school districts and high school districts have inquired about turf fields, for example. That's one of the rare things that they specified cannot be used for that. So the application's been approved by the district. The field houses, for example, have been approved. Everything that's been within your plan has been approved. So the state's already blessed that. So as long as the district spends within those parameters, then you'll be fine.
Thank you.
Bob,
can you state your name, please?
Yes, Ed Maggio. In the Finance Committee meeting, I listened to the recordings. You had stated that the debt certificates that you were going to take from a bank were going to cost approximately, I think you told Mr. Cannon, about $45,000 to $50,000 for the 45 days.
For the interest, yes.
Right. Now, you also stated in that same breath that it's 0.9% plus interest. Is that 0.9% of origination fee for the 50?
No, well, that was the interest rate, but it actually ended up getting sold at 0.8%.
Okay,
So
it's
8/10 of 1%.
So it's not an origination fee plus the interest?
No.
That's just the interest?
The investors are lending the money for 0.8 of 1%, and it'll be outstanding for about 45 days.
And what is the actual cost to the taxpayers for this bond? The actual total cost when all said and done?
Well, okay, so the cost, so first of all, the cost related to both parts of the financing, the first part and the second part, the intent is to use the surplus money that's sitting in the bond and interest fund. So
the $2 million.
Right. So the only thing that's going to be levied to the taxpayers is the net $50 million that's collected for the capital projects. So
that's the interest from the debt certificate you're talking about?
No.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. The $50 million, when the district borrows, the $50 million that the district's going to receive for the qualified school construction bond for the projects, those are going to be the only bonds that are going to be levied to the taxpayers over 25 years, and that's the graph.
And what rate is that at?
That hasn't been sold yet.
What's the current rate on?
Well,
Up 3.84 around there.
I mean, first of all, the federal government right now subsidizes about 95% of 94% of the rate of that is probably going to be somewhere. Rates have gone up a little bit since the election, but probably somewhere around 4.1, between 4 and 4.25%, I would say.
And you were finishing up on the 50,000.
So the $50 million.
No, the 50,000. You said that there was a fund of 50,000.
I meant just now.
50 million?
50 million. I meant.
Okay.
I said the wrong word. Sorry.
All right.
I apologize.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Do all the schools get equal share?
Excuse me, say your name, please.
Gary York. Each school get equal share of this 50 million.
Yes,
Who determines what projects go where?
Well, we've been working on that for a while with the school administrations as well as the board. We've had multiple discussions. We've had several committee of the whole meetings pertaining to this. And while all 4 schools are not going to be exact identical projects with some of the ancillary things that they're going to receive, the main components of the project are going to be all 4 schools. So 4 field houses, 4 weight room fitness centers, 4 training rooms, new classrooms in all 4 schools. The turf fields that were mentioned is going to be all 4 schools. But then there'll be some other situations. For example, Hillcrest and Bremen High School are slated to get new roofs. Oak Forest has recently been upgraded, so that's not going to be something that's necessary for Oak Forest. Tinley Park's roof is in good shape, so that's not something that's slated in this project. Tinley Park has a parking lot that's going to be replaced because of deterioration. Other schools have gym floor replacements scheduled because of their needs. So in terms of dollar allocations, yes, but the smaller projects may vary a little bit.
As much as I like the sports facilities, my daughter's like 5 and 1. She wouldn't benefit from that. So is there other projects that we can engage?
Well, there's going to be a number of benefits to all of our students. Our fine arts students are now going to have situations where they're able to practice immediately after school, and they're not waiting for athletics to take place and then have to practice late into the evenings, because we'll have all the other facilities to accommodate those. And our goal and intent is to have all of our students, whether they're involved in drama, clubs, sports, or other activities, to have them all home at a reasonable time now, because again, we'll have the capacity to have multiple practices going on right after school versus stacking them the way we do now. And unfortunately, because we're restricted, kids are getting home, 10, 10:30 at night by the time their practice lets out. So that's going to significantly improve for all of our students. One other thing that is docketed is enhancements to all 4 of our cafeterias. So that's going to significantly improve and benefit all of our students. So, and our marching band and our other clubs and things are going to have access to these facilities for practice. A lot of times they're outside now, but if there's inclement weather, they'll have a facility now where they can conduct a full marching band practice indoors in the field house and not have to cancel practice because of weather. So it's going to encompass all. We feel very good about the fact that it's going to benefit and encompass all of our students, not just athletics.
We reiterate, especially on the field houses, because I know a lot of communities concerns and saying the same issues that they were thinking that we're just appealing to the athletics.
Sure. Another situation is our physical education classes. All of our students are required to take physical education. With our new weight rooms and new fitness centers that are going to be top of the line, that's going to enhance all of our student programs. Our field houses are going to be available all day long for all of our physical education classes. So that's another significant benefit. And again, some of the other ancillary spaces that we're going to be adding additional classroom spaces. We're going to be redeveloping some of the existing spaces to accommodate more of our academic programs. So there's just a number of positives all the way throughout. So we're, again, very excited about the opportunities that are coming.
Is there anywhere we can get a breakdown, Tom, of everything that was required to be done with the full 50 million? Is there any...
In terms of the state and what they required, the application and that whole process?
Maybe what we gave the state, the improvements that we were going to do, that we give.
Do we have the flyers
available
here?
We have the application that we've documented all of those things in there in one way, shape, or form. And some of them might not have been specific, it might have been more general.
Is that available to everybody?
It's not publicized on our website now, but it's public information. We can certainly put that on the website and make that available. That's no problem.
We do have a tentative list of all of our projects. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the full 3 years, 3-year schedule?
We have the first year pretty solid and year 2 pretty solid, then the rest are in more of a tentative list phase. So we can make that available as well.
One of the things that we clarified when we were creating this list and reviewing it with the board is that it is a tentative list because we've seen the state of Illinois and what's happened to school districts in the past years. And we're not going to lock into something that's going to put us in a financial situation that's not going to be healthy for the district. So that's why we deem future projects as tentative, because if the state redoes their funding formula and now all of a sudden we lose $4 million annually in general state aid because of a new funding formula, well, we're going to have to make adjustments to our plan because we're not going to be able to sustain that with the current plan that we have. And that's why, like Dr. Kendall mentioned, years 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, those are all tentative right now because our plan is to do those things, but we've got to annually wait and see what happens with the state of Illinois and how the funding comes through.
But this $50 million we're getting are strictly for construction, correct?
Yes.
So
and we're going to, our first few years, we're going to take care of that. I mean, we'll spend those dollars with the plans that we have in the first several years. Yes, sir.
So the question would be, since the 50 million that they have, and a lot of people are concerned about if it's going to be enough funds, it brings the question to me, by the school board bonds being to them, will they be able to choose whether to go union or non-union with building? Because if you go union, you're looking at anywhere between a 30 to 40% markup. Whether as you go non-union, all you're worried about doing is signing an agreement to pay prevailing wages, which means that
We're required to.
you require for the union?
For prevailing wage.
For prevailing? Okay. Thank you.
Tom. Matt Ressler. A lot of stuff that you've talked about is, obviously the financial help that we'll get after a few years. But is there any way to quantify what it's really going to do for the district as far as values for, homes? Is it going to help with attracting students in? Have you guys been able to kind of quantify where it's going to put us with the rest of the districts around the state?
That's a great question. We haven't done a financial analysis with that, and that's something we'll take a look at moving forward. But it's going to, from all the discussions that we've had and with other districts that have done similar things, it's going to significantly enhance the district, and not only that, but all of our values of our homes and all the amenities that we're going to now be able to provide. It's going to make us a much more desirable district for young families looking at where to locate now, and now they take a look at us and they see that we now have top of the line amenities and facilities and programs to match those things. It's going to make that a much more attractive situation for recruiting new young families into our communities that we serve, and we think it's going to have an overall impact in a positive way on home values.
But one other thing, with regards to the upgrade within the bond for the Moody's, do you know of any other school districts in the state that have been upgraded?
I'm not aware of any in the south suburbs.
I could say that probably of the last, maybe in the last 7 years of working with school districts with Moody's and Standard & Poor's, I haven't worked with a school district that's been upgraded because they have an overall concern. These are New York entities that are evaluating, and their overall concern that they always reference is what's the uncertainty of what's happening in Springfield. They talk about Chicago Public Schools and their big crisis that has to be resolved. So there's this big weight that school districts are fighting. So this upgrade is an anomaly based on recent history.
So, can I ask a question? So the upgrade for Moody's, and you touched on it before, is because we had proper reserve balance. Okay? Can you explain that a little bit more? Now, the reserve balance also, we use part of that to subsidize our deficit. Okay? So Moody's is saying, wow, okay, compared to their deficit, their reserves meet that expectations to get that higher rating? Is that how it works?
Yes. So they look at many years of historical audits. They're familiar with the history of the district. The district has a rating on file, and they see improvement. Okay. They see that your fund balance reserves, which would get very low after 3 or 4 years, are drifting down slightly through modest deficits rather than jumping down and then being replenished with bond issues. So they see that your fund balance reserves are stronger than they've been historically. They see that your annual deficits, which are partially caused by the state underfunding school districts, are not as large as they used to be. So your fund balance reserves are projected to last a lot longer. Then all of a sudden they see a new revenue source in the district of $2 million a year through these qualified school construction bonds, and hey, this district is more solid than they used to be, and we're more comfortable.
So less likely to default on the bond.
Exactly.
So basically, we take care of our money really well. And we're responsible with our money. So we're not at risk to be funded by these bonds.
It's an affirmation from an independent entity whose reputation is on the line for value, because when people are buying bonds at Bremen High School, they don't know Bremen High School. They're entities all around the country. They rely on Moody's. So Moody's has a very high stake in doing the proper analysis. You have an independent entity that's saying, you guys are doing a good job. They like the direction that this district is going.
One quick question. Moody's, how did they come through the downfall? I know there was a lot of bond rating agencies that just, they're long gone. How did Moody's do? Obviously, they're still around.
Moody's
what was their negative?
Yeah. Moody's and Standard & Poor's in the same thing. They not only rate school districts, but they also rate corporations and some of the, and everyone got caught up in this. When there were a lot of defaults around mortgages and things of that sort, those entities got hammered.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Yeah, the bond insurance companies got hammered. And as a consequence of that, which almost doubles, in fact, it doubles to me the value of you guys going up, is that they tightened up the criteria so much more now.
Since the downturn.
Since the downturn, because all rating agencies and all bond insurance companies got hammered because they didn't see it coming. Kind of mentality.
So are they held to stricter requirements on their rating?
Yes.
Because of the result of it now?
It tightened up everything. Their analysis is much deeper than it used to be as a result.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
Ms. Russell, your question, you're asking our financial state compared to other schools in the state?
Well, I was just wanting to, the reason I asked about the bond rating is because it's, especially in the state of Illinois, they're not going up. So that's why I wanted to find out, basically since we went up, that means, something's going on really well here. So
And Mr. Grossi can speak to this as well. So the Brevard Township Trustee of Schools, we have that deal with our treasurer. They have started issuing bonds, buying bonds for districts who can't bond through the normal avenues, right? So we still have all our borrowing power there.
Yeah.
And helping schools that don't.
Right. I also work with some of your feeder elementary districts who are having a more difficult time with the borrowing because of some challenges that they face. Not necessarily because of them, but because just because they're in the state of Illinois, they're dependent on the state, and things are happening to them that are happening to normal school districts. But again, you guys have done a good job of actually improving your financial condition despite the challenges that the state has given you. So that's a very good trend that they like.
And I think it's just important to mention too, Tom, that while we're on the responsibility topic, we have had the discussion in finance committee meetings that with the $2 million subsidy that we are going to be getting each year, we talked about how we are going to be careful with the spending of that money because like any kind of projects you do, unforeseen circumstances do arise. And so we aren't spending all of that money right out the gate. We are going to have that for emergencies or unforeseen circumstances that come out of this, any of the projects that we do. So I think it's important that the community knows we are being responsible with that money that we are going to be receiving.
I'm sorry. Are we talking about the $2 million that there's no guidelines on, or you guys can use it to do whatever you need to assist with?
Correct.
This is basically like a cushion or contingency fund for the
But for the first 7 years, we're going to use it
to pay back
projects.
Yes, it's earmarked to cover some of the expenses of the tentative 7-year plan, correct?
Now, Mr. Grossi, could you elaborate a little bit, and you touched on it in Tom's presentation here, what a bond exactly is? If we have this videotape, there'll be a lot of people watching this, and then for the people in the room, that this is not free money, that this is, in a sense, and we talked about it in Finance Committee, in a sense like a credit card. I mean, we have to pay it back. This isn't a subsidy or a grant from the federal government that says, here you go, spend this on all the projects you want. There's an obligation to 228, and I think that needs to be very clear here, and I wondered if you could help with that.
Certainly. So issuing a bond is kind of like taking out a loan. So, and virtually every school district in the state of Illinois has taken out loans and currently have outstanding loans to either help pay for operations or help pay for capital projects. This district has an outstanding loan currently that they pay off $9 million a year, $9.5 million a year. That was the chart I showed. The loan for $50, I'm terrible with numbers.
I don't know.
That's not tape. the loan for $50 million is a, no, I lost my train of thought. The loan for the $50 million is something that's going to be paid off over 25 years. And that's where, and the payoff, again, is structured in a way so that instead of paying off $9.5 million a year, you're going to be paying $4 million a year. The state of Illinois created special legislation for qualified school construction bonds exclusively for the 29 school districts that allowed school districts to extend their debt out for 25 years. And the value of that is that you get the subsidy for 25 years and it stretches out the payments and lowers the annual payments.
So just to clarify, if we did not do the QSCB, that red bar would be stretched across. We would be seeing the same size red bar going across.
No, if the district, over the last dozen years or so, the district was in a cycle where they would borrow money, pay off $9 million a year, and then when they needed the money again, they'd borrow again and pay off $9 million a year.
Right, so that's saying that.
So we could have structured this in a way that it would have kept it level at $9 million a year, but rather than doing that, at the same time, the district addresses its facilities and things of that sort, it's also going to structure it and take advantage of the new law and make it 25 years and stretch it out over 25 years.
But to Ms. Ressler's point, it's a change in the philosophy of how we operated, with the emphasis on the fact that we want to reduce what the taxpayers are going to be paying moving forward. Because, again, traditionally we have opted to keep that debt service levy level, not have it go up, but not have it go down. And that, without the QSCB program coming along, that probably would have been the continued direction of the district.
Right, so for like 2018 out, we would have seen the same red
Right,
bar
we would have
across.
seen.
You would have seen no
Based on
tax.
historical patterns,
Right,
that's
you would have
right.
seen no tax benefits, and you would not see some of these construction benefits.
Absolutely correct.
It's important to note too here that the school district has not come to the taxpayers for any kind of increase since 1993. Is that correct? 93, 95? Gentleman in the red, you had a question?
A couple of questions now. Ralph Palatano. First question was related to the field houses. Have you guys envisioned other uses for the field houses except for sports, like for maybe graduations and things of that sort?
Yeah, that's something that we have discussed. Okay. We haven't finalized all the uses for the field houses at this point, but we certainly are going to get full use out of those facilities.
It wouldn't just be used for sports?
No, absolutely not.
Band competitions or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all talking about, we're kind of confused with the second topic was the, so basically $9.5 million a year used to be, now it's cut down to $4 million, right?
Started with, yes, levy year 2018.
And that's going to last for 25 years?
That's going to, the intent is to have that last for 25 years. That's correct. Again, we can't foresee into the future. If the state has a significant shift in the funding formula and they strip back some of our revenues that we're heavily relying on, then we might have to rethink that. But if all things remain equal, yes, that's the intent. That debt service levy remains at that level.
So normally we would still be having to pay that $9.5 million because of this $50 million we're getting. It's reducing that levy. It's reducing the. We're
reducing that by over $5 million. Correct.
For 25 years.
For 25 years, that's a significant.
So it's actually more benefit than $50 million.
It's a significant benefit to all of our taxpayers, and that was one of the things that when we reviewed this and started talking about it, we were so excited because it was such a great opportunity and a win-win all the way around that we wanted to do everything we could in our power to make sure we captured that full $50 million. And fortunately, we were successful at that.
And the third question was, you guys were referring to the tax subsidy every year for $2 million. Is that a totally different conversation, or is this?
That's the federal subsidy. The government reimburses the interest that we pay on the bonds. They reimburse that back to the districts. That's what we're referring to in terms of that subsidy.
So why wouldn't we put that in a different general ledger and pay the interest off on the loan rather than doing other projects?
Well, we feel we're going to need those funds, number one, and we've already significantly restructured the debt service levy so that we're going to have a significant impact on our taxpayers. But we're going to, if we were to not utilize those funds, then we'd be looking at a different structure here.
But from what we're looking at in 2018, we shouldn't need that $2 million. We got a $4.5 million savings, right?
That's on the levy that we will be filing. That's
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Another question, this one's for you, Mr. Mallett. Once these facilities are constructed and built, and I think I brought this up in the committee the whole once, and I did get some information back from, I believe it was a PR firm, or I don't know who it was from, to be honest with you, it was quite a ways back. Once these facilities are built, our fields are in place, what do you have a cost on the maintenance? Because obviously our bills are going to increase from these new facilities. Bigger facilities mean bigger heating bills, bigger cooling bills. The turf fields, like the gentleman discussed that came in and gave us a little presentation on turf fields, there's some maintenance there. What's the dollar number and how does that affect us, or does it really affect us?
Yeah, we don't anticipate that to significantly impact us. There is going to be some cost escalation because you are adding more facilities and you're going to have to heat and cool additional spaces, so you've got
water, showers,
and those kinds of things. Absolutely. But we're looking at visiting that. We've done some preliminary costs. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's not going to be a significant number, one that we don't feel comfortable moving forward with, particularly as we move forward and we get more efficient with our custodial maintenance services and doing things in-house as we have done. We're going to get better and more efficient at doing that, so we'll use some of those savings,
Sure.
will offset some of those
Right,
costs.
and we'll have savings. We don't have to cut the grass and pay people to do that. We don't have to fertilize the grass. We don't have to repair it after a rain plague game that destroys our field. So there'll be savings there that will offset some of the increases in the utilities and other fees, correct?
Yes, and the biggest asset to the turf fields is the usability. I mean, you have unlimited usability on those fields for whatever you want to utilize them for. Band competitions, athletics, other activities, gym classes.
Well,
you can use those
I'm not talking
24/7.
usability, which I know that's going to be great for our district. I'm just talking about some of that stuff will offset the cost of constructing a building and heating it and cooling it and putting water in there and everything else,
That's
correct?
correct, yes.
Okay, so we'll have an offset there.
Yes, I'm not going to say it's going to totally balance
Okay.
out, but yeah, again, we feel comfortable being able to manage things as we move forward.
Okay.
But we also got to keep in mind that we expect more students to attend our schools, which means that we should have more tax revenue coming in.
That's a really good point. One of the hopes, as Tom mentioned earlier, and the gentleman asked a really good question, is what will this mean to the future of the district as far as its attractiveness? Now, if in fact the district is successful in its premise that this is going to attract new students into the district receives about $6,000 from the state of Illinois per kid in the district. So an increase of enrollment will mean real dollars to the school district, which will have a benefit as well. That's a good point. So the hope would be that you could attract more students. You can attract more students that will help the district financially.
Mr. O'Malley, with regards to the new construction, all of the stuff that's going into this is all going to be the most efficient stuff that's out there.
That's
correct? So
yes.
Air conditioning, heating, lighting, etc. is going to be all the high efficiency stuff. So as far as costs are concerned, it'll be more efficient than the existing building.
Yes, that's correct. Absolutely. Good point. And there are incentives out there that we are going to seek out as well for putting in these efficient types of things.
Well, yeah, because if they're LEED certified, then you can get stuff from that standpoint.
Correct.
updates, but like even having those, I just want to go back to those, how the heating and air, the HVAC system works according to what we were saying, Dr. Democracy. Only when people are using it, and it kind of gauge the usage.
Yeah,
so those dollars won't be wasted. I know it say it's more facilities, but creates more money with the highest up-to-date new things that are coming out, and the HVAC systems that we already put into our schools. They will actually help to save money and not waste money by money going out the window.
Anyone else? Okay then, at this time, I'm closing the floor to public comment, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Johnson.
That's good for us because they're not
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Johnson? Manning? Mrs. Campbell? Aye. Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Thank you all for coming, and we hope to stay for our next regular board meeting. Order right now.
I've been in 25 years now. My dad used to take this since I met
Mr. Manning?
Here.
Mrs. Gleason? Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Jones? Mrs. Camworth here? Mrs. Ressler? Here. Ms. Stearns? Here.
Right now, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the October 18th board meeting. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Russell, second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion?
I would like to pull some items out, but
The minutes?
yeah, I'll to be voted on separate, but I'll refrain from that, and well, go ahead. Go carry on.
Yes.
That I disagree with, but
They're reported inaccurately?
no, just inaccurate statements, but that's fine. That's to be disputed later.
Okay.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
No.
Mrs. Jones? Mrs. Camworth? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye. Board recognition award.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call up Mr. Jason Thomas from 3C's Mentoring Group. And he's going to be the recipient of the Board Recognition Award for this month. I'd just like to read a little bit of information to you about Mr. Thomas. He is the Executive Director of the 3C's Mentoring Group. Jason formed this group because he has an affinity for young people, and through his life's work has learned that without purpose or direction, young people will continue to be stuck in survival mode. He believes that we all have a responsibility as educated professionals to give back in whatever capacity we are blessed with, be it our time, treasure, or talent. Jason is very active here in the South Suburban community and is also a proud member of the 100 Black Men of Chicago and Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Recently, I met Jason and his organization started working with Hillcrest. I met him last year in August, and he approached me about the possibility of partnering with him on a grant that he was writing through the federal government to assist first-time college attendees. And so I jumped at the opportunity. About a month and a half or so ago now, I got a call from him saying, "Are you ready to work?" He was awarded the $1.2 million grant over a 5-year period to provide services to our school. Jason and his organization started working here at Hillcrest to provide college and career readiness opportunities for our students through the grant he received. The primary goal is to assist our students with college enrollment and career readiness strategies, specifically focusing on first-generation and low-income students. 3C's mentoring will support our students by exposing them to career fields, developing their creative abilities through various workshops, field trips, and events, as well as building character through community service and advocacy projects. Jason most recently served as the director of the TRIO Talent Search Program at Prairie State College. He is married to Dr. LaToya Thomas. Unfortunately, she just had to leave with the 2 babies. They have 3 children. She is a dentist, and she operates a mobile dentistry company out here in Homewood. Together, as I said, they have 3 beautiful children. Jason's company has already started working. They've been recruiting, and we are really trying to focus on our freshman students to help them as they try to get out of here on time and on track. We have set up a college visit to Grand Valley State for November the 29th. He's also been exposing them to other career opportunities and having conversations with the students. So we're very excited about this partnership and this opportunity that, again, is a long-term 5-year project. So we are pleased to have him here with us. So.
On the behalf of the school board, we want to award you with this plaque that states Volunteer Excellence Award. The Board of Education presents this award to Jason Thomas in November 2016. You have helped to provide a positive learning environment for the students of District 228 by the time and talent you share. Thank you for caring. And I want to have
No more.
See, I was going to speak, but I don't know where to stand because you guys are
You're good.
Perfect.
Right there.
All right, well, I'm excited to work. I have a lot of big plans. A lot of my stuff from being an educator, kind of think outside the box. We did a spelling bee for gym shoes. I'm going to have partnerships with shoe places. We're going to do another one here. We have and I really I've been blessed to be connected with a lot of professionals who would like to help students. So I'm in a unique place where I can bring people in they would never come in contact with and set up internships and things like that. So I'm really excited to be a part of something innovative. And I got some scholarship things that we're thinking about putting together where I have people who want to personally give resources to students. So it's going to be some big things coming. So I'm very excited. Thank you.
Good news reports. So on behalf of Hillcrest High School, I am going to ask Mr. Lardell Clark to come up to give a good news report for the month of October. Yep. Here's a microphone. Sure. All right.
Good evening, I'm Lardell Clark. I'm a senior at Hillcrest High School. I'm a member of PTA and the Director of Careers and Secondary Students. And here's the good news. The Hillcrest High School focused on commitment to the community this past month. On October 30th, student staff participated in the Eye Blood Drive and each donation saved 3 lives. Additionally, Mrs. Trench Key Club sponsored a trick or toiletry drive and led poetry for the Army Mental Health, which keeps families with sick children close to each other and provides those parents with care and resources they need. The Key Club selected 100 items for the cause. In honor of Hillcrest High School's 50th anniversary, fact teacher Ms. Jean Sweeney and her culinary club to organize the compilation and sale of the Hillcrest Cookbook. Monies raised from the sales of cookbooks will be used to support the education of graduating and seniors. Many Hillcrest classes and activities are extended, learning beyond the classroom walls. In partnership with science teacher Mr. Raffles in his geology class, fellow science teacher Mr. Moody and the Ecology Club recently traveled to Star Rock Park. Her goal is to expose the Ecology Club and geology students to a different ecological environment, while providing the opportunity to hike on Illinois and Palms. Ms. Bernetta Allison, the management student, were excited to attend the National University of Health Science Field Trip School trip recently. This opportunity allows students to connect classroom lab instruction with the reality of the human cadaver lab. Dr. Weber, the lab speaker, gave an overview of the human body system and functions using the cadaver and asked students many questions as they engage with the organs, muscles, and tissues. The out-of-school visit to the university allow those inquisitive students to see how their developing skills connect to their possible future career choices, as most of them in anatomy class have a career focus in the medical field. This field trip allows them valuable exposure to the level of rigor and post-secondary study, as well as opportunities to use a cadaver. Mrs. Freeman's marching band was invited recently to perform as the marching band for the Spartan League dance team of Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Indianapolis Circle City Classic Parade. This is one of the most well-attended and sought-out after events during the annual fundraiser presented by Indiana Black Excellence. The students perform well, bringing pride to Hillcrest in the band program. Hillcrest D228 students continue to contribute to their community while developing career and operating skills. DBA organized a breast cancer awareness campaign in October, so a t-shirt designed by their graphic design team. BPA partnered with Dunkin' Donuts to help develop revenue for the program and honor the varsity football team with decorations around the school. We continue to be proud of our BPA students. Finally, Hillcrest will also like to recognize the accomplishments of the entire football program. The varsity Hawks finished the season with an 8-3 record. They finished third in a very competitive blue division, earned a playoff spot in one of their first-round playoff games. The sophomore squad finished with an 8-1 record, and our freshman was 6-3. Hillcrest is proud of Coach Cole, his staff, and his student athletes for setting the bar of excellence for establishing a culture of accountability and discipline. Hillcrest is home of the Hawks. Hawks are swift and intensely focused and powerful creatures. They are intelligent, wise, and proud. Good to be a Hawk. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I am here on behalf of Tenley Park High School. I'd like to introduce our good news reporters, Ms. Keisha King and Mr. Hamza Shah.
I'm Keisha King, and I'll be reporting activities at Tenley Park High School this month. On Thursday, October 27th, Interact Club hosted our annual No Tricks, Just Street Halloween Safe House, and around 300 people attended. The day before, on October 27th, our National Honor Society's College chapter inducted 91 members into the society. A fellow classmate of mine, Dana Miller, she was awarded the Fire Prevention Month Art Contest and was rewarded a trip to school on the Tenley Park Fire Truck this Monday, the 14th. Also, Illinois Music Education Association awarded five students, Sean Ford, Matt Hendricks, Christian Johnson, Zach Rosenstiel, and Damaris Will. Lastly, Tenley Park High School drama department is hosting It's a Wonderful Life as our fall play. By James W. Rogers, directed by Mr. Sanchez and Mrs. Kenner. It will be hosted on the 2nd of December, 3rd of December, and 4th of December as well.
And for athletics, we'd like to congratulate the varsity volleyball team. The Titans were 32-6 record, which was a new record for the school. And of course, the wonderful coach, Coach Rosinski, was voted the South Suburban Coach of the Year. And one of the players, Jack Alberto, was the South Suburban Conference Player of the Year. We'd also like to congratulate Cody MacArthur, who was verbally permitted to play baseball for Missouri Western State University in the fall. And we'd like to recognize the 27 members of Captain's Club who were chosen by the head coaches, and we are proud of their work and what they're learning as they're using their club.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oak Forest High School is pleased to have one of our seniors, Ms. Darla Thomas, here tonight to present our good news report.
Hi, I'm Darla Thomas. I'm a senior, like you said. I'm from Oak Forest. On the athletic sides of things, we had a great season for almost all of our sports. For boys soccer, we had 3 seniors named as all-conference athletes. For girls golf, we had 3 sectional qualifiers, and for boys golf, we had 4 sectional qualifiers. For boys cross country, we had senior Tyler Verba finish in 2nd place in conference. For girls cross country, we had junior Jacqueline Latosha finish as an all-conference athlete for girls cross country again. For girls swim, they took 2nd place in conference. And for girls diving, we had 1 conference champion, Grace Stanky, who's a junior. This season, we are very excited to be starting up our winter sports. They are in full swing right now, and for boys swim, we have a new coach this year, Coach Michael Forsyth, I think is how you say the last name. Also today we had our signing day for some of our athletes. One of them was Michael Edwards, who signed for University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and Jake Jones, who signed with Murray State University, who are both going to be playing sports for those universities. On the academics and activities side of things, in November and the end of October, we had a lot going on around the school. For Day of the Dead, for our Hispanic holiday, we had Hispanic Club and the World Language Department put on a Day of the Dead presentation where it taught people about what happens for that holiday in many of the Hispanic countries. On the day of the election, we had a mock election at our school in the IMC, so students were able to go down there in many of their social studies classes and vote. And for the first time in history since we've started doing this mock election, for the first time in history, our school failed to elect the same president that our country elected. In all the recent years, we had elected the same one that our country overall had elected, so that was kind of interesting. We had our first student recognition breakfast last week for students that were honored and recognized by certain teachers throughout the school. And we had many field trips going on throughout the school, from an ecology one to one for students involved in publications. We had two for anatomy. One was a cadaver one, similar to the one that I think Hillcrest is talking about. And the other one was an open heart surgery, where we were able to see live feed. And a lot of students said that that was a very informational and helpful experience. They were able to learn about different careers and talk to the surgeons and everything while it was going on. So that was really interesting. And a Halloween Ecology Club in Mrs. Sassick offered a free pumpkin carving workshop, which many students went to and were involved in, and it was a great opportunity to bring a lot of our students together. So it was a great month for us overall.
I have two students with us, a senior and a sophomore. You guys want to introduce yourselves? Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, my name is Stephanie Flores. I am a senior at Bremen High School. I am involved with the fall play and spring play. I am in marching band. I am on the speech team, and as well, I am the vice president of Bremen's Anti-Bullying Club, the Hero Group, which we started during my freshman year. And throughout the years, it has really progressed, and I'm very glad to say that we have led out to the community about the issues of bullying, and I'm very proud to say that we are going to hopefully go to the elementary schools to talk to them. As well, I'm also going to Lewis University for nursing major. And as well, Bremen recognized 78 students who achieved ACT scholar status by scoring a composite score of 20 or higher on the ACT exam. As part of this incentive, these students are exempt from final exams for the both first semester and second semester. Bremen's National Honor Society and Student Council will once again embark on a community food drive from November 28th through December 10th. Last year, the groups collected and donated over 13,000 pounds of food to local food pantries. For more information, please contact Mr. Terry Stevens. The Coda Breaks will host its annual garage sale on Saturday, December 10th at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. to benefit local families during the holiday shopping season. All proceeds will benefit the community, and leftover garments will be donated to local shelters. This is organized by Teresa Conway.
Hi, I'm a sophomore. My name is Samaya Smolinski. I am on the track, bowling, and volleyball team. I currently hold the school record for track. It was the first record broken in distance in 25 years. I'm really I'm also very involved in the community in those activities as well. I also I hope to attend college in the future, and I want to major in marine biology. So the good news report is we had a senior, Michael Princess, who signed his national letter of intent to play baseball next fall at Northern Illinois University. Also, our varsity boys soccer and cross country teams took the conference championships as well as the regional championships in both divisions. From our soccer team, Ricardo Avalos was named the South Suburban Blue Conference Soccer Player of the Year for the second straight year. He has been also selected as the IHSA All-State Team and named a member of the All-Midwest Team. This is the first Bremen High School student to be selected for this team. He is also the first Bremen High School student that he was the lead scorer in his career, in his all-time career at Bremen High School. We want to thank you for listening to the Good News Report at Bremen High School. It is an honor to speak in front of you today, and we want you to know at Bremen we have pride.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm jumping.
All right, we got a pie for you. Don't jump over there. We actually have two treats for you today as part of our school presentation. The first one, as I said, we do have pies, and I'm going to ask Ms. Jean Sweeney to come over and talk a little bit about the pies that we have for you to sample. Get you in the mood before Thanksgiving. And we have them ready for our dinner. We're actually her culinary department, they'll be selling pies. And this is the samples on who we want to put for later for the holidays, say it's some cookie time. We want to welcome to put an order in. In addition to that, I think they mentioned in the announcement that there's a cookbook, and James will tell you a little bit about that cookbook as well. Come on up. I'll tell you what to
As you guys may know, the board has been participated in some of the restaurants that I've had with my culinary management class. This year we decided to take a little bit of a twist on that and do a pie sale before Thanksgiving. We thought it would be helpful for our faculty and staff to offer them pies before Thanksgiving. So our my culinary management class has been working diligently to perfect their skill at making pies, creating them, so Tay is going to talk to you a little bit about that. When we're done speaking, we're going to move the pies in the conference room where we'll serve them, we'll plate them for you, and you can sample them at your off time. But Principal Sims did say that we do have, these are some of the order forms that we developed, and like I said, Tay will go into detail about how we built on this project as a group, and go into a little bit more of the details of behind the costing, the testing of the pies. It was almost like a test kitchen. In addition, Principal Sims had mentioned we have a cookbook. Last year, our culinary club, in addition to some other students, helped pull some recipes together from our faculty and staff. And we pulled them together in a cookbook for our 50th anniversary this year. All the proceeds go to our scholarship fund for our seniors, as Principal Sims said, and so these are available. We'll be able to sell them throughout the events that we hold here at the So if you're interested, they're $10, and they're on our website, which looks real nice on our website. Anyway, so I can pass those around to you if you'd like to take a deep while we're speaking. But Tay Jones is one of my students in culinary management. She's also in my baking class. She's very, very much interested in going into culinary arts, and I'd like to have her give her the floor.
Good evening, board. It is an honor to speak with us today. Good evening, audience. My name is Hayla Jones, and I am a student here at the Hillcrest High School, and Miss Sweeney's culinary management class. I am a sophomore. Yeah. And our project today, we decided to choose pies, considering it is so close to Thanksgiving, warm cake for Thanksgiving. So we decided to choose our class at Reading on for 4 different types of pie. Reese's peanut butter pie, pumpkin cream cheese, an apple, walnut, cranberry, and a sweet potato. Yes, this is our using the platters, okay? Each student designed an order form for our pie sale, and I happen to came in second place since we all voted for which one was best. So the winner, we both contributed our ideas to the order form we had for our finance committee. When we first started these pies, we followed the recipe on hand. We measured every cup of milk, we measured every teaspoon of sugar to get it exactly perfect. We did evaluate each of them after we had finished the product to see if we needed to tweak anything. See if we had too much peanut butter in the recipe, if we had added too much milk, if it wasn't thick enough. Our main focus was the taste, the texture, the appearance, how well it cuts. If it's going to fall apart on your plate, if it's going to fall apart in your mouth, it's okay. We were pretty much having a ball. Pies, they were delicious. I warn you, okay. It's our cheat day. Our Reese's pie, it was a little bit of a challenge. We tried several different crusts for it. First we had a regular crust that you get normally at the store, then we tried a pretzel crust, which when we evaluated it was a little bit too salty because it was a lot of pretzel, and that mixed with the peanut butter and the chocolate was a little bit overwhelming. Then we tried our Rice Krispie crust, and then we tried a graham cracker crust, and we evaluated that and thought that that was a better sand instead of the Rice Krispies and the pretzels and the regular one. We thought that that would hold up pretty more. Because of our space and time, we are limited to only 50 pies we are selling for our order form. Like I said, we have a Reese's pie, we have a pumpkin cream cheese, an apple, walnut, cranberry, and a sweet potato. We learned how to cost our pies, which every little bit ingredient inside of it, we learned how to evaluate that into the entire cost of the whole pie. Say a small little bag can be $1.25. Say a small pack of cream cheese can be $3. We use every bit of ingredient to evaluate the entire cost of the pie. We learned to use a market order, which I never done before. We learned we learned to market order. We're learning several different ways to evaluate ourselves into the pie. Pretty much, it was an excellent experience for me, considering I have my cooking background. I've been cooking since I was about 2 years old. You can ask my lovely mother right there. It's embarrassing. I love it. And she kind of kicks me out the kitchen. So it was a very unique experience for me when I took this course, and I was able to have this privilege to make pies and to make such unique pies. I've never made this before. I've never made a Reese's pie. I didn't know what a Reese's pie was until we all voted on which pie to make. We went from a lemon meringue pie to an Oreo pie, which I didn't know actually the name until now. Until we settled upon our final 4 pies, and I thought that was great. So overall, we've had a very good experience making these pies. They are very delicious. I do want all of you to try some. They're delicious. You don't have diabetes. But overall, we've had a very lovely time, and I hope that you all will order some pies and go make it work too hard.
So our pie sale is going to be during our sick day on Wednesday. I'm taking my students, they'll be field tripped out, and they'll stay in room 134, and we'll be making pies during class Monday, Tuesday. We'll be prepping the ingredients, and they'll be making the pies on Tuesday and Wednesday. They'll be boxed up and ready to hand out to the teachers and faculty and staff on their way out the door on Wednesday for Thanksgiving. So we kind of set our limit at 50 pies. We're pretty close to the limit, and so we'll be busy working on those pies this coming week. So we'll have an opportunity. We're going to go in the back and playpen for you, so hopefully you'll enjoy them. There is peanut butter in case there's nuts in both the apple, cranberry, walnut, and obviously there's peanuts in this, so everybody's
Any questions? Where do we give the money to?
you can give it to myself or Principal Sims, or we'll probably, once we play, we'll probably take off. So if you wanted to even put it through the mail, or
We'll get it.
yeah, and that would that be okay? That'd be great. And then either pick them up on Wednesday, or on my way home, I can drop them off at the admin building. Some of the pies need to be refrigerated, so it's, within 4 hours they need to be, the time that we take them out of the fridge to the time that you get them home. 4 hours.
Is there a favorite that it seems of most of the teachers so far?
Reese's and pumpkin cream cheese.
Yeah, the pumpkin cream cheese is really, really good. However, if you like apple pie, the apple walnut cranberry is really good too. It's really, yeah, it's really good. Sweet potato is your standard, your traditional sweet potato. But mine are the pumpkin cream cheese and apple cranberry. The Reese's is a little sweet. But it's good, very good. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Hopefully you guys know some thank you surprise. Okay, so real quickly, we have one other highlight for our presentation. Mr. Dave Brayton, our Business Professional of America teacher, and Faith Durden are going to be presenting on the activities of BPA. Dave this is the first time he's had BPA, so we're excited about all of the great things that they've been involved in this year so far. They've just jumped in and started running with things. So, you nervous?
Not at all.
You'll be fine. I'm talking Faith, her leg was shaking over there.
I'd like to thank you, Dr. Sim, board, administration. It is an honor to be here to showcase Business Professionals of America. This is my first year teaching, but my 32nd year at Hillcrest. So I've been here a long time, coached basketball. One of the most dearest and most proud moments in my teaching career is this year. Having Lardell Clark, our Director of Charities, Faith Durden, our Director of Marketing, are phenomenal, special individuals. I'm proud to say that we're sponsored by the Chamber of Country Club Hills. We've been on their TV interview. We're sponsored by Hazelcrest, their chamber. We've been interviewed by their mayor. They've talked to charities, the McDonald's House, Kids for Kids, spoke to principals, mayors. They're doing a lot, and doing a lot of great things. One of the major functions of our class, obviously teaching business skills, is to teach interview skills. So one of our first events, we took the class to a job fair that was sponsored by Marcus Theaters at the City Hall. So I'm going to start the presentation. We have a clip that we were very fortunate that their TV people were there that were going to film the job fair. They happened to see our bus come with our students, and they saw an opportunity to interview the kids, and they did outstanding. So I'd like to present a small video clip to that. We have Faith that's going to present for you. Then we have a nice little PowerPoint showing what we've done.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mayor Booker, and I am here with a very interesting crew. These are the Business Professionals of America. That's the name of the class. It's at Hillcrest High School. And
sorry. Sorry about that.
All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mayor Booker, and I am here with a very interesting crew. These are the business professionals of America. That's the name of the class. It's at Hillcrest High School, and this is the instructor, Mr. Brady. And again, these kids are here as a part of the Marcus Theater's Jobs Fair that's happening right here at the theater campus. So tell me a little bit about the Business Professionals of America class.
Well, our class is basically involved with teaching business skills. They're going to be going to state and national competitions. This is my first year, so I handpicked all these individuals. They're all majority honor students and AP students. So what our main goal is we're going to put Hillcrest on the map. So we've already, with Pierre, our president, and our vice president, Rakib, along with Faith and Tia, we formed a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. So that's been outstanding for us. We're involved with different charity events. The Chamber of Commerce has offered us an office that's off campus. So we've also developed a marketing team that's of 8 or 9 individuals from the students of the class. Where they're dealing with an ad book, e-commerce, buying and selling online, doing different jobs for the chamber. So we are trying, this is no longer a class. This is becoming a business, and I have some great young kids that are willing to work, and they're working very hard.
Talk a little bit about your responsibilities and some of the things you do as president.
Well, as president, I will be the face of the company, so everything that everybody does, it comes back on me. I really don't have a specific area that I work in, but I'm always busy. I head up the marketing. We have our director Faith. I work with her for the marketing team. I created the partnership along with my vice president Rakib Yarrow with the Chamber of Commerce. I basically write articles about everything we do, getting us out there. I work closely with Tia Pollard, director of PR. She's trying to get up an online store for us right now. It's kind of we're moving very fast. A lot of people have told us that we shouldn't, but we just flying past them all. I've had the opportunity to meet multiple executives, make multiple connections. This is just a wonderful experience. It's more of a lifestyle, not just a class. I take this very seriously.
Ms. Public Relations, talk a little bit about your role within the class and some opportunities you have.
My role in the class would be to provide media connections. Right now, I've been establishing connections with the newspapers, such as Chicago Tribune and New York Sun-Times. I'm also in control of television broadcasts, so I've been in contact with Channel 7 and Channel 8 also. Right now, I'm actually in the process of contacting the mayor of Calumet City and the city clerk of Calumet City, see if we can establish a bond with them right now. And I'm hoping that we can establish something with them.
All right, so your role is specifically?
I'm Director of Marketing and Field Trips.
So, as the marketing director and the person that sort of oversees the field trip and such, talk about some of the opportunities you have, how you function in that position.
Okay, well, when it comes to marketing, I branch out and talk to different companies. I try to find sponsorships and donations and business we can partner with to do fundraisers or charities or even field trips.
After this break, we're going to come back with a few more of the officers that are part of this, so stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce our senior, Faith Durden. She's my director of marketing, one of our best seniors, and probably one of the best role models that we have here at Hillcrest.
Okay, well, first I'm going to start with our BPA mission. BPA is not just a class or a club, but a lifestyle.
Its members should be fully immersed and involved in and outside of the program. The main goal is to reach out beyond BPA and become true business professionals. To be true business executive leaders, the first step is embedding your heart and soul into the program. We as a class exemplify the true purpose and reason BPA was formed. When BPA was envisioned back in 1963, the VOCEA Educational Act was passed. Congress thought about future students taking the first step in becoming the best of the best in the business world. We will be a force to reckon with. We have started to campaign BPA around the business world. We worked with the president of Hazel Crest, Mr. Bernard Owsbury, Mr. Benjamin Johnson, the president of the Country Club Hills Chamber of Commerce, and talked with him on multiple occasions about sponsorship. Mr. Johnson has over 170 business contacts that he has been willing to let us use. Mr. Johnson is also a business owner himself. He owns a business center that he is willing to allow us to use after school, which has been a great help. We've been able to go outside of school, after hours to work and branch out more. You can't do a lot in 55 minutes, but the added help is really there. As long as the chamber's getting used from us, we're allowed to be there. We work hand in hand with them. We've learned how to do e-commerce, listings online, actually be like real business owners. The best thing we have also had meetings with a gentleman named Mr. Eric Booker, the man who did our interview. He is the TV production specialist for the Country Club Hills. His daughter also graduated from Hillcrest last year. Mr. Booker has also expressed that he too may be willing to donate to the organization on top of the interviewing. But because Hillcrest isn't looked at as a powerhouse in BPA, we feel as though we can change that by breathing new life into the program. We intend for pride to flow into and throughout every single person and task. BPA needs a certain type of arrogance to it where everyone knows who we are, but not where our arrogance turns into conceit. We will be humble, but we also know the extent of our abilities, and everyone else will know as well. We are here to prove that through adversity, you must have the resilience to handle the situation swiftly, calmly, and effectively.
Very good, Faith. Presentation. I think you will enjoy showing some of the events we've done throughout the class since the beginning of the school year.
Okay, these are BPA officers. On the top left, we have our DPR, our vice president. Beneath them is myself, Dave Durden, Director of Marketing and Field Trip, Beneath me is our Media Specialist, Chalisa Butler. On the top right, we have Tia Pollard, our Director of Public Relations. Beneath her is Ardell Clark. He is our Director of Charities. And beneath him is Natalie Williams. She is our Treasurer. In the middle, we have our President, Mr. Pierre Tuxson.
This would have been a video clip, but it wasn't working, so we showed that first. So now the actual PowerPoint will begin. mentioned regarding business professionals, with this being my first year, it's been an honor to have such a great class of great students. As I mentioned in the video, most of the students I handpicked, I taught most of these students when they were freshmen. Now they're juniors and seniors, and we're having a great time. We're making a lot of connections. Support of our principal, Dr. Renee Sims, has been tremendous. It's just been a great, a great year so far, and we're just beginning.
This is my own reflection that I wrote myself for my class. It's titled Turning Point in My Life. Working with Hillcrest Business Professionals of America has given me many opportunities and has taught me many life lessons. I am the Director of Marketing and Field Trips for our BPA class. I have had many responsibilities and they continue to grow each and every day. As a senior, I already have a lot on my plate, planning for college, applying for scholarships, and having AP and honors classes. However, business is my passion. My dream is to attend the University of Southern California and enroll in the World Bachelor's of Business program. While being a member of BPA, I have improved my communication skills, computer skills, networking skills, and management skills. At times, I have literally broke down crying because of the stress. However, being a BPA, I was given the opportunity to meet a Hillcrest graduate, Sadiq Muhammad. He gave some very good advice that really resided with me. He spoke about motivation, focus, and networking. With motivation, he spoke of first having some, and second having the right kind. I realized that I do not wake up every morning for school at 5:30 for my parents. I do it because I know that education is what I need in my life to be successful in pursuing the career I want to have. His motivation is his daughter, whom he brought and I was given the opportunity to speak with and get to know. When he spoke about focus, he said, do not get sidetracked. There are many distractions in my everyday life, and I've learned that going home after school and getting started right on my homework proved the best results than trying to hang out with my friends after school. Lastly, Mr. Muhammad spoke of networking, and he spoke of a different kind of networking that I have honestly never heard of before in my life. Networking with the teachers and adults in your life. I learned that if you really get to know your teachers, talk with them outside of class, and really ask questions, your teachers can give you a lot of insight into the work they assign, which in return helps you gain a better understanding and better grades. Being a part of BPA has helped me in more ways than just understanding business. It has helped me understand life and where it is that I want to go in mind. I've always known that I wanted to strive in the business world being an entrepreneur. However, now I know the proper steps to get there. I'm gaining lots of hands-on experience, meeting individuals that are successful and hearing their stories. I believe everyone knows that the path to success is not a straight shot. There will be many obstacles in your way. But to hear someone's story and listen to the challenges they face gives me hope that I can push through any and everything set in front of me. Having that mindset alone sets me in a position to succeed, and for that I have to thank my teacher, Mr. David Braden. I would not have met the people I have and networked with them, bettering my future if it had not been for him recruiting me into BPA. I honestly don't know where I would have been. I honestly don't know if I would have been really able to grasp the concept of business if it had not been for this class. It has really changed my life for the better, and I'm looking forward to seeing just how far Business Professionals of America will take me. Dave Stern, Director of Marketing, Hillcrest Graduate 2017.
Thank you, and thank the audience. Great.
Oh, that's baby. How bad is it?
Do you have anything else to forward?
Freedom of Information Act request. Since our last board meeting, Mr. Dan Lincoln, Special Force, Service Employee Union Local 73, asked for a list of all employees, including payroll ID, hours worked per week, hourly rate, annual salary, job title code, work location name, address, phone, email, positions, status, union name, and union dues and pay periods per year. This request has been completed. Today is School Board Members Day in Illinois. On behalf of the entire District 228 community, I'd like to thank our Board of Education for your service. I attended the IASB South Cook Fall meeting on October 26th and would like to congratulate Mrs. Jones for receiving an award in the Illinois Association School Board Master Board Member Program. Congratulations. And Wednesday, November 30th is our annual Senior Citizens Lunch at all 4 of our high schools. Our students do a great job of hosting this event with a meal, building tours, and entertainment, and I look forward to traveling to all 4 of our schools to meet our senior citizens. Thank you.
Do any board members have anything they'd like to say?
I do. I just want to give a big shout out to Hillcrest and what they've done here with the sports program, in particular our football program. A couple of years ago, it was a pretty hot topic, and I know I was involved in it, and several other board members were, and obviously Dr. Kendall. And to see the program where it was and where it's at now, you know, it's phenomenal. And I'd like to congratulate Dr. Sims and Lisa Woonar, our athletic director, and everybody else that played a role in that situation, because it wasn't very pretty, and there was names said and there was things said, but look at where we're at now here with the program. The kids, you know, I watched them practice before their playoff games. They didn't know it, but I was there. But they were out in the rain down here on 175th the field. They were jumping around. They were having a good time. And what it's really about is not the wins and losses. And it's hard for me to say that as an old coach, right, because I want to win. But it's about the positive experience for these kids, and not only the kids, for the coaches as well. And, you know, what I witnessed, you know, from afar, they're having fun, they're having a positive experience, and you know, I watched them twice. They were out on 175th in front of Hillcrest, and then they were down the street, like I said, at the, I believe that's the local field. And you could see the pep in their step. And coming from where we came from 2 years ago with that whole situation, I'm really proud, and you know, to stick my chest back out and say, you know, I'm an alumni here, and I'm really proud of the way people stepped up to the situation, because it was intense, and the people in this room, some of them know that it was an intense situation. But I really think that we got it on the right track, and I'm very proud to say that, you know, I came from this program, I came from this school now. So thank you for everybody's hard work in that. Marquise Cole and the kids obviously should have the most congratulations of this, because obviously they put the work in, and Marquise is assistant coaches. So very proud, and you know, there's people in this room that know that I can be hard on situations, and I was hard on that situation, but I can also come back and say now, thank you for trying and doing what you've done, and you know, now let's just build on it and keep giving the kids a positive experience and the coaches a positive experience, because that's what it's about. So, thanks.
I just wanted to real quick, I was able to attend the golf banquet at Ely Park High School this year, both for boys and girls. And shout out to the boys, they did a great job, but bigger shout out to the girls golf team. They were a very small group. One of the jokes they made is that while they watch all the other athletic teams get on their bus with all their equipment and go to their big games, they get in a minivan like a little family. But these girls, some of them graduated. It was a very small group, and they toughed it out in tough times, playing against some schools that were really much bigger than them. So I hope to see some girls step up to the plate and join the girls golf team there, and at the other schools if they have them. Because these girls, they should be really proud of themselves for what they did for being the small group that they were. So I just wanted to give them a shout out.
I just wanted to say, I was at the Glenbard South game, and I was impressed with the fight that the kids had, and as well as the Marion Central Catholic. I went to both the games, and the kids played hard, and we are very glad for the accomplishment that those coaches have made. In 2013, I stepped up and got in front of this board and told them that those kids was 1-36, and it was inexcusable for that to be happening in our program. changes was made because somebody stepped up and made it happen. And I won't quit until all of our programs are competitive with every school they play. Nowhere should these schools like Lamont be rolling over our guys. My opinion, football is such a big sport at the collegiate level and certainly at the pro level that coaching needs to be a full-time job. And I'm going to work towards that goal, that we do not have teachers who have to teach a number of classes and then come out to 200 students to try to teach them football. It does not work. The district has been around for a combined 200 years, over 200 years, and only won one state championship, and that was Tilling Park 30 years ago. We're going to get some changes done around here. We're going to have programs that are respected all over this nation. Winning is something that is learned, but more importantly, winning is something that is taught. And since we have a model that we're going to have that all kids can learn, that means that we all can win. I don't believe in having a good experience on losing. That'll be his personal thing, but me, no. We can win that state championship, and we're going to. And with these guys are falling short at that, we need to find people that can help support them and teach them some of the things out there that they may not know that they're doing wrong, but to help them better the program all the way through, from Oak Forest to Tilling Park to Brown.
Report for October 17th to November 17th. On October 22nd, Saturday was a very busy day for me. First of all, I went to the Fall Arts and Crafts Spooktacular at Bremen High School. Many vendors, services, including chiropractors, different vendors sporting their wares and jewelry, as well as crafts and food vendors. One of my favorites was the white popcorn. My children just kind of run to that. We kind of have a little format that we do, and my children look forward to it every year, attending that event. There were performances by dance companies, face painting, and the cheerleaders, remember when my children had gotten face painted last year, and asked them if that's what they wanted this year. So they have a great memory. That just shows they have really good memory. We really enjoyed that. Also, I was glad to see that there was counseling still available. We lost a student this year, this past month, to a fatal accident, and I was glad to see that there was counseling available at the school even on Saturday. People were out there to be available to help bereaved families and students coping with the loss. And on behalf of that, my prayers still go out to the family and the students that experience hardships. I did get to speak with some of their students' closest friends, and it was a challenge, but they're learning to cope with that incident that happened. Unfortunate incident that happened. The 41st statewide salute to individuals making progress. This was those who excel conference. So on that night, I traveled to Bloomington Normal at the Marriott to attend those who excel dinner and award ceremony, which three of our four high schools recognition and different programs that we offer here at District 228. Bremen Support Personnel Carla Cheatham, our one-to-one learning leadership team received awards. classroom teachers, Carissa also received awards. The Teacher of the Year for this year was Kim Thomas of Peoria. She was chosen. Her background, she is teaching in an alternative school. And she saw to make, she taught math, but not just math. She changed the name to Mathalicious. Mathalicious 101. She changed the name and the face of math to making it more appealing to students. She uses everyday situations to engage students in mathematical skills and concepts. On October 23rd, day after that Sunday, I attended the Bremen High School National Honor Society. Several students were given awards and inducted into the National Honor Society. And the speaker spoke on leadership. Dr. Kabelkas also acknowledged Assistant Principal Terry Stevens for his love and dedication to students and how much NHS meant to him. I got to speak with the speaker, David Douglas, that's the speaker's name, working with students, and he's also working with his students on internships within his software company. I have seen growth from I've seen the growth of several students I got to see that I have seen grow from 3rd and 4th grade all the way to high school, and to see them to get this accomplishment. The families were, it was an accomplishment for both the families, hard-working families, as well as the students alike. So that was a treat. On 10/26, the ISB Fall Dinner Presentation and Award Ceremony, where Senate Bill, the topic was Senate Bill 100, Public Act 99-056. The speakers were Dr. Donna Leaks, Superintendent of School District 168. She is a nationally recognized, she's nationally recognized for her work in mathematics, as well as her work as being a superintendent and teacher. Also, we had the pleasure of having our very own state representative, Will Davis, come to us and speak as well on Senate Bill 100. Yeah, Senate Bill 100, which is, he informed us, has changed the number many times in different acts and working toward keeping students in learning environments in the school. Also, we had dinner and award ceremony. They gave awards for different levels of achievement. Level 1, one was for master board member and board member participation. There are 3 levels. There's level 1. They give different points for this. Level 1, level 60 points, level 2, 130 points, and level 3, 200 points or more, which is master board member status. This is recognition for your board member participation in with ISB. And also there's a leadership honor award, which the Leadership Academy is the curriculum academy portion, and I was honored to become a member of the Leadership Academy, as well as received an award, which is I brought with me today, for ISB with participation on the higher level of Leadership Academy, and I'm 2 points away from reaching fellow, which is the curriculum. And basically what it is learning how to be an effective and active board member. And so this is the curriculum for board members that they can receive. Also, this year we were marked by the state of Illinois, the South Cook Division was marked with having the highest participation based on the classes and being more informed board members. We had unprecedented results of over 50 members in the ISB attend these workshops that were offered by ISB. So I was able to receive both master board member status as well as leadership. At this dinner, one of the board members also stated how the national conference helped their school district to be on the cutting edge and learn more about the Senate Bill 100 and benefited their school district as well. On November 3rd, I attended Hillcrest High School NHS induction, where the speaker was our very own recipient tonight of the Community Award, Mr. Jason Thomas, CEO of 3C's Venturing. What I enjoyed most about his presentation and his speaking was his relatability to the students. He engaged students in his speech as well as he got them involved, and he actually basically taught like what I consider a mini lesson on the importance of community involvement and how they can turn their hobbies and interests into community involvement and helping others with the gifts that they have, and not just keeping that hobby to themselves, but also helping their community. One of the other highlights besides that for that night was we went up on stage to shake hands and give of the inductees and pass out the awards. And they had called one of the students, and I turned around and the entire football team was there that night, along with their coach, Mr. Marquise Cole. They came in like church mice and left out like roaring tigers, literally. And they were there and they stayed through the whole time. Although one of their members of the football team was receiving an award, they stayed for all of the inductees, all 32 of the inductees for that night. And I thought that was very impressive, and it spoke large volume to their character. So they are learning more than just being on the field, but carrying out that character to their students. What was so important, and as I was talking with the different students afterwards, I did find out a little story about that. This particular student didn't have their family is not able to, in a position where they're able to support their child at school activities. And so that particular student's family is the football team. And that was just awesome. It almost brought me to tears because when I heard that background story, how they're the support for that student. And that they not only just support that student, but they learn character and leadership skills as well. So it's good to show that they're learning to be well-rounded individuals and not just taking it from the football team, but also coming into the classroom and supporting into the different ceremonies and spending time to commend other students. So that speaks a large volume as far as the character and quality of our students. There was a newsletter announced. Also, I would like to make the announcement about the III conference this weekend. Many of our board members, administration, and staff will be going to the III conference, which is a conference to educate us on different things and how the success of how to become the best board member, staff, and administration that we can be. And this year, also at the dinner, the president of the ISB was there. He spoke about the new different things that are going to be at the III conference this year. This year they will be highlighting a band that will play a group of students throughout the state of Illinois to play at the ISB conference. And it will be a little bit more, I think they rearranged some things to make it more accommodating for the attendees. So that III conference I really look forward to for this weekend, being this weekend. And that's it.
I also want to commend Hillcrest football team and their fans. Hillcrest has in many different sports, always won the IHSA Sportsmanship Award. And the fans and the players conducted themselves very well, even though the announcer at Marion Central kept referring to them as hacks. Calls, I know, are always subjective with officials, but there was some pretty blatant bad calls. Some chants from the other side, and Hillcrest can always keep their head up and like respectful participants. I also want to remind parents that at no time should their children ever be receiving individual text messages from a teacher. We have different apps in place where group texts are sent to the entire team, the entire activity. There's never a need for individual communication. As Ms. Jones said, the South Cook Division of ISB held a meeting to discuss Senate Bill 100. And I think more importantly than Senate Bill 100, which says you can't expel a child, they stressed, especially Superintendent Leaks, the importance of getting to know the students and being able to recognize if a kid's having a bad day and how you progress from there. Find out what's going on with the child, which is something I think our district has advocated for a long time. I also would like us to think about something in the future, expanding dual credit for our students. I know we have AP classes, but there's some situations where dual credit situation where students getting credit for college and high school could benefit them, especially in some engineering programs for college. Again, a lot of kids are, when they get to college, they're a couple years behind because of the dual credit situation. No, it's difficult for us on a district standpoint because it requires the teacher to have a master's degree in their discipline rather than in administration. And this is a little tougher on the teachers to get. Master's degree for administration is usually done via cohort kind of method, get done in a year or two, where a master's degree in their discipline could take a teacher 3 years and be quite more expensive. So maybe the district could come up with some kind of program to help our teachers do that, and we'll be rewarded with being able to give our kids dual credit, offer that a savings to the parents for college, and have a more educated staff as well. That's all I have. So we'll move on to discussion item. Boys volleyball tonight?
All right, it's been brought to my attention by several parents and families, not only within Tinley Park High School, but from the feeder schools, that there is a huge interest for boys volleyball team at Tinley Park High School. I have referred these people to talk to Dr. Kendall. I've had discussions with Dr. Nolan about it myself personally, and so I'm bringing it to the board for discussion to feel out where everybody's at with wanting to have a boys volleyball team at Tinley Park High School. I know that at this point in the year, they obviously can't compete under IHSA, but they're looking maybe to form a club team starting this year to kick it off. I've been informed that they already have the equipment, so that would not need to be purchased. I know there's costs involved, but we just had a great presentation about how we are building field houses and saving the district money. We have teachers retiring, so I don't think it'll increase our deficit at all to have a boys volleyball team at Tinley Park High School. I'm in favor of it. I don't know what this is.
A couple of points of interest. The first thing that I'd like to say is boys volleyball has been a consistent request from Tinley Park. So that this is not the first time. Back in 2012, our board, because of financial constraints, because of the uncertainty with the state, passed a resolution that says that we would not expand any of our sports programs or not consider that. So if the board would choose to do that, the first recommendation would be to do away with that resolution and then entertain sports. As I look through the history, we've had a number of different people come to us. The most consistent one has been boys volleyball at Tinley. I don't know where Bremen High School or Hillcrest High School would be an interest with boys volleyball. I know lacrosse has been a pretty steady interest for one program. Bass fishing was really interested at one point, but has kind of faded. And I say this just to say that if we do away with the resolution, there may be more than just boys volleyball that you would have to consider. So I would look to the board for your direction moving forward.
Is Oak Forest the only ones that have boys volleyball at this
Currently,
point in
Oak
time?
Forest has boys volleyball. The only
So we can't co-op, right? We
cannot co-op.
Where Tinley kids could go over there.
It would jump us up,
So we could.
No,
but-
you can't. You can only co-op if your programs are shrinking.
Okay.
Forest can sustain their own program now, so you can't get that opportunity.
Well, I'm in favor of getting kids off the couch, away from those darn video games, and getting them participating in things that make their muscles move.
I find it ironic, given that you and him both declined the budget.
Well,
So, I mean, you're telling us that we're deficit spending, but then you're coming here in favor of new programs. You can't have it both ways.
Right, but
I think we could save money.
Oh, sure, when it's convenient to you.
You know, we could eliminate PR firms, okay, and there's other areas that we could
It's
eliminate.
going to cost a lot more than $10,000 to fund these programs. What other areas?
There's areas.
And what teachers you're going to pay for teachers?
Nobody said we're cutting teachers. Is that what
No, I'm saying you have to pay them to be coaches or give coaching staff. That's
Bill,
another.
what did you come up with? I read it was a 25,000 to get the program started, or was that to run it with the coaches with?
It's going to be in the neighborhood of 25,000.
In that area.
Somewhere between 25 and 35 per year, depending on.
We're saying it's minimal equipment.
For 3 levels.
For 3 levels, depending on how many levels you do.
And that will have to come out of the education fund, which is currently in a deficit.
Why would that, is that where it comes from, out of the education fund?
Yes.
So we're talking about, we're just having a cost savings with the qualified school construction fund. We're building field houses, but we're not interested in talking about increasing our athletic offerings or our activity offerings.
We have a deficit, Kim. Remember you said you didn't want deficit spending.
Right, and I'm proposing that I believe there's ways we can do this without increasing the deficit. For example, the stipend for 2 coaches, a head coach and a JV coach, would be $10,237. As far as I have been informed, Tinley Park already has the equipment. As far as uniforms, they simply would need a t-shirt.
Transportation.
And then we have the transportation costs, which I don't have those numbers.
Transportation officials.
Okay.
That was
So-
in their 25,000 estimate, wasn't it?
So transportation and officials would be $10,000?
Approximately, yeah.
Well, again, it was brought to me, I brought it to the board. I'm in favor of it.
Well, if you have ideas for housing, then I would like to know.
But we're going to
Because
save
my-
money with teachers retiring. So we're going to have cost savings coming in that way. That's my percentage.
What's our biggest retirement coming up? We discussed it in other areas, finance committee. Is that next year or year before? 2017.
As Dr. Kendall said, the board made the decision in 2012 not to add any. I'm all for it. However, I think we either approve them all or we go to the previous request. He said bass fishing has kind of died down. That's not necessarily an accurate statement. It's just the people, if we said no, we said no. They'll come back when we say yes. I think one of the main focuses should be on making all the schools the same, at least having the same opportunities. Oak Forest has 28 different athletic teams and 39 activities. Bremen has 23 teams and 24 activities. Tinley has 25 teams and 32 activities. Where's the Hillcrest? Hillcrest has 19 teams.
Well, it's lower enrollment too, so you have to take a look at that as well. Okay, is it Hillcrest our lowest enrollment school?
Doesn't mean they don't want to be.
By how, yeah, by,
So that went up.
yeah. I mean, there's,
But there's different interests, I would assume, in different schools. schools
We
for
would
what
have to
everybody
gauge-
wants to
we would have to gauge the interest.
Right. So you'd have to figure out what the kids want. Tilly expressed, you know, they want a boys volleyball team.
Yeah, Hillcrest wants volleyball, Hillcrest wants soccer. Of course, we have gymnastics if they want. There's lots. So I'm
a
all
lot
for
of
it.
this
Let's do
depends
all or do
on
not.
interest, obviously. Why would we pursue something if somebody wants a soccer team and it can only field 4 people? Okay, because I was here during the soccer days at Hillcrest, and numbers were horrible. Okay, so we did away with it at that particular time.
Were y'all winning?
Mark, I understand your passion for winning, okay, all right, and I like what we do, but we have to find out where, and I'm not against Hillcrest having any sports, cut it out, but interest, I think, will dictate us, will guide us, you know? If there's 2 people that want to go fishing, well, I don't think that would be good, you know, to spend money on it, you know?
No, but it's a smaller first sport for us, so you don't need as many.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and again, my comment was that people have not been pursuing. The only consistent pursuit has been boys volleyball.
I think maybe, here I'm going to bring up this dirty word of survey. So if we survey the kids, you know, with these particular activities, it doesn't mean that we have to do them if we survey them, but at least gives us a way of guiding ourselves through this, okay? It's a possibility.
I agree, but I think that's limiting us because, so you've got one group of kids that's going away and 3 years worth of somebody else. So after 3 years.
Three years going away, what was that?
So are you gonna survey seniors?
Well, what they would have liked to see, maybe. Maybe the seniors gives us.
So maybe, but what I'm saying, getting to is maybe the middle school kids would have a different opinion.
Well, you can survey them too, sure.
Well,
they're actually gonna be our students.
Okay, so the first question is, would we open up the resolution and change it to opening up for sports? And then the second one, I'm just trying to get clear, is to see about volleyball or tennis park. But
I don't think we open resolution until we find out interest.
If you let me finish my conversation, I appreciate it, thank you. That is exactly what I wanted to say, is that we need to find out, one, also is interest, more about the investment and see what the students are inclined to do instead of saying, okay, just Tilly Park, because I don't want to favor one school over another with any type of sports.
And I'm not favoring one school over another either. It's just what was brought to me.
I'm not accusing you of that. I'm just making a statement, okay? I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just making a statement that we need to find out. I know from my experience with a lot of the feeder schools, soccer is huge. Soccer is really big. And I know there's going to be a great interest from the feeder schools. And that's just from talking to maybe about 3 or 4 different feeder schools and knowing what their kids like. There is going to be interest in soccer. There's going to be interest in volleyball. So those are the things that I want to see about. And then you had made a comment, Kim, that where a lot of people retire. We're going to have to still fill those positions.
Sure. But not nearly at the salary that is being paid out.
No, but I'm just saying that we have to, those are the things that we have to consider. And then seeing, not the seniors, I wouldn't suggest the seniors, because seniors are going out, and although they might want it, you know, maybe they'll get to have that in the intramural sports activities somewhere. And I think maybe if they form a club now, we could be able to see the duration of how the sustainability of it.
If I could add 2 more things. It's very consistent and easy for that resolution to be what the board rests on when you have these people coming and asking for programs. I usually go to worst case scenario as superintendent. If I estimated all of the programs and adding all of those programs, which would be 2 soccer at Hillcrest, 2 soccer, boys and girls soccer at Hillcrest, which they don't have, boys volleyball at Tinley, boys volleyball at Bremen, 2 levels of lacrosse at a co-op, 4 bass fishing clubs,
and the boys volleyball at Hillcrest, the worst case scenario in the first year without escalating coaches' salaries would be close to $250,000. That's at the absolute worst end. So.
And there's hockey and gymnastics that are included too, right?
Yeah, hockey's more of a club than gymnastics.
Right, because that's what they were, because we weren't doing it. They came and spoke to us about adding them.
Yeah, I can't. Okay, my worst case scenario is worst. I don't know.
I'm just saying, we've told people no. We either say yes to everyone, or
no. I don't agree with that. I mean, you can't have a zero tolerance for all possible new sports. I mean, that's, have them come, make a case to the board, and we decide.
These are people who previously asked us.
I think so. It's from someone who has constantly ridiculed the district for government spending, posted it on social media outlets, and
well, you just
you
don't have to be Evelyn Gleason's mouthpiece, okay? So just sit, listen.
I am my own mouthpiece. I know you would like me to sit here and be quiet. I know that women are supposed to be seen, not heard.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, when we're out of our deficit, let's talk about it. Then we have the capacity, the financial capacity to open up the doors to these programs. But based on your
we could say the same thing about the $50 million.
Based on your
Let's talk about the goodies of buildings. Later when we're out of our
deficit spending, and
yes,
you and Kim both did not approve the budget because we were deficit spending.
Oh, I don't agree with spending more than you have. I don't agree with spending more than you have.
So when you can tout it for your political benefit, then you care about the students, then you care about the programs. Otherwise, it's deficit spending and you want nothing of it. You won't even approve the budget.
No.
So let's vote on dissolving the resolution.
We're not voting, we're just
Yeah, well, we
discussing.
can't. What I can recommend is I'll have a meeting with our athletic directors and see if I can somehow judge interest and bring a report back to the board. Is that reasonable?
To answer your question, Christy, I mean, you put it to me as far as where would we get this money deficit spending? Well, it was brought up in several meetings. If everybody pays their fair share in health care, okay, there's a big savings. You could just go right down the list with some of that stuff, okay? So those are taboo things that you don't want to talk about, but I have no problems talking about.
We've talked about it plenty at nauseum, Larry, at nauseum.
Okay, but I'm trying to understand what Dr. Kimball's saying for his suggestion. So, I mean, everybody has a right to talk about it.
No, everybody's opinion is respected.
We need to respect everybody's opinion and allow them to talk instead of kind of interrupting.
Well, somehow I'll have a meeting with our athletic directors, brainstorm with them an interest level of our current students, an interest level of feeder schools. I can bring that back to you prior to doing away with the resolution as it stands now, get you more information as best I can. There.
We're here for the kids.
So talk with the athletic director, what is that?
So we're here for the kids, and then I can hone in on this number a little bit better. This is an incredibly rough number at this point.
Well, if it's $35,000, that's worth it. It keeps kids out of trouble and give them something to do. Maybe they might want a scholarship out of it. Where's our petty stuff?
I know from previous experience, like when I taught at a middle school down south, the students did achieve better when they were involved in school, participating in school functions, and not just sports, and but also I want to see about the time issue, because although we have these buildings that we're building and field houses, we have a time,
Well, if we have to petition a conference and build schedules, there's some things that have to align.
It's something else that we have to look at too. Absolutely. We already have, kids staying at 10:30 at night, 10:30 at night. So that's one of my concerns as well. I would love for them to be able to participate in whatever they would love to participate in, but I think we need to look at all aspects, including time, budget, just the whole spectrum of the of the thing instead of just saying, okay, this is budget, this is time, and just consider those factors instead of going back and forth.
Move on to committee reports with finance, Ms. Ressler.
Finance meeting met on Monday, November 7th at 7:01 p.m. Present were myself, Mr. Canning, Mrs. Camworth, and Mr. O'Malley. None were absent. We had two guests, Mrs. Gleason and Mrs. Jean Unick. For new business, November bills, interest, funds, and deposits. The Finance Committee reviewed and discussed November bills, interest, expenditures, and deposits. These items were also reviewed by the superintendent, who along with the Finance Committee will recommend full board approval at the November Board of Education meeting. Over 5,000 purchase orders, there were none. Career Development Systems, CDS bills. The Finance Committee reviewed the CDS November bills totaling $22,161.08. The superintendent, along with the Finance Committee, is recommending full board approval of the CDS November bills as presented. 2016 tentative aggregate levy. The Finance Committee thoroughly reviewed and discussed the 2016 tentative levy. Mr. O'Malley provided a presentation explaining the levy process and historical data pertaining to the tax rates and EAVs. The additional levy amount to the Special Education Fund is to prevent a problem due to declining EAVs and increasing tax rates, and to avoid the future possibilities of hitting our rate ceiling in the Education Fund. The district is limited to the CPI of 0.7 for the 2016 levy. The levy worksheet and the levy schedules were explained. The 2016 levy will be less than 5% increase over last year's levy and will not require a public hearing prior to the adoption of the final levy. The Finance Committee and the Superintendent is recommending full board approval of the 2016 tentative levy. Order calling BINA public hearing and minutes showing conduct of the BINA public hearing. The Finance Committee discussed the hearing process, which will be conducted prior to the regular Board of Education meeting on Tuesday. Mr. Grossi and Mr. O'Malley shared a presentation on the updated financing plan for the QSCB. The Finance Committee and the Superintendent is recommending full board approval of the proposed settlement agreement. Resolution of intent for funding bonds. The Finance Committee discussed the process which must take place in order for the district to initiate the QSCB process. The Finance Committee and the Superintendent is recommending full board approval of the process of the proposed settlement agreement. Resolution authorizing the call of the debt certificates. The Finance Committee discussed the need for the resolution pertaining to the debt certificates. The Finance Committee and the Superintendent is recommending full board approval of the proposed resolution. Disclosure Compliance Policy Resolution. The Finance Committee discussed this resolution, which outlines appropriate policies and procedures for the district in order to create the accurate disclosure pertaining to any bonds issued by the district. The Finance Committee and the Superintendent is recommending full board approval of the proposed resolution. Discussion. The Finance Committee discussed the bond rating increase and the importance of the upcoming QSCB issue. Mr. Canning inquired about other ways the district can inform the community regarding the November 15th public hearing to the QSCB. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 12th, 2016 at 7 p.m. in the administration center. The meeting was adjourned at 8:05 p.m.
Thank you. Teaching and Learning, Mrs. Camworth.
Thank you. Teaching and Learning meeting was called to order at 6:30. Present were myself, Ms. Stearns, and Dr. Williams. Absent were Mrs. Gleason. Guests were Adam Wagner, John Caney, Rhonda Krakow, Ed Sterling, and Andy Rabarchek. The Teaching and Learning Committee met with the members of the Class Size Committee to review the student enrollments in second semester classes. In addition to the JFA's committee chairperson provided feedback on the first semester courses and the overall sectioning process. This feedback is helpful when sectioning for the upcoming school year. All buildings reported that they were pleased with overall class sizes and that there were no significant issues to be addressed. A discussion took place regarding the increasing enrollment at Bremen. While we are aware of potential students coming from feeder schools, students coming from other cities, states, or countries are not always known ahead of time. The district will continue its practice of reviewing classes at least 2 times during the summer, so any potential issues are addressed before the start of the school year. A review of the second semester numbers revealed that there are only 2 courses that need to be looked at again in December. These are Integrated Physics at Hillcrest and Foundations of Algebra at Eau Forest. All sections are at the top of the window or slightly over. If needed, sections will be added in December. The committee reviewed requests to drop, add, and/or replace courses to the existing handbook from the Departments of Fine Arts, Special Education, Career and Tech Education, and Physical Education. These changes will be brought to the full board for approval. The next meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 13th at 6:30 at the Administrative Center, and the meeting adjourned at 7:48 p.m.
Thank you. Personnel met on November 7th. President were myself, Mr. Canning, Ms. Wester, and Mr. Goggins. Mrs. Gleason also was in attendance. Dr. Goggins presented the following certificated staff for discussion: at Bremen, the approval of the maternity leave for math teacher and the approval of the employment of a bilingual translator. At Tilling Park, the acceptance of the resignation of a social science teacher. And for Hillcrest, the acceptance of the resignation of a project manager. And of course, the approval of maternity leave request for a consumer science teacher. And at the district office, the approval of medical leave requested for a fine arts supervisor. After review of all certificated staff items, the committee agreed to make these recommendations to the full board for approval. Dr. Goggins then presented the following educational support personnel recommendations for discussion. At Hillcrest, the approval of the employment of a special education aide, and at the district office, the approval of the employment of a special education aide to work at South Suburban College. The next meeting will be December 12th at 6:30 at the Ad Center, and our meeting adjourned at 7:37. New business, Ms. O'Reilly.
Thank you, Ms. Stearns. Board members, item 11.1 pertains to our monthly bills, the addendum to the bills, payroll, and CDS bills. Finance Committee has reviewed these items and along with the superintendent are recommending them to the full board this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Russell, second by Mr. Canning. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Russell? Aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Item 11.2 pertains to our tentative aggregate levy for 2016, totaling $64,261,000. The Finance Committee has reviewed this, and again, along with the superintendent, we're recommending this tentative levy to the full board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Russell, second by Mr. Canning. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Item 11.3 pertains to the resolution declaring the board's intent to issue the $52 million in funding bonds as we discussed in the public hearing prior to the board meeting. I'm looking for a motion from the board member.
I move to approve the resolution declaring the intention to issue $52 million in funding bonds for the purpose of paying claims against the district and directing that notice of such intention to be published in the manner provided by the law.
Second. Moved by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Stearns. Any discussion? I just want to clarify, the 52 million is not the actual. We're going to do the 50 million and the 2 million to cover that. We're going to pay it off from our funds we already have.
Correct.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth? Aye.
Item 11.4 pertains to the resolution authorizing the call. We reviewed this with finance, and the superintendent has also reviewed it. We're looking for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the conditional call of the general obligation limited tax debt certificates, Series 2016 of the district, and directing that notice of such call be timely provided to the holders of said certificates.
Second. Moved by Ms. Russell, second by Ms. Stearns. Any discussion?
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth? Aye.
Item 11.5 pertains to the resolution for disclosure compliance policy. This will change our policy to bring us in compliance to meet those standards that, again, Mr. Rossi mentioned. Everything's getting more strict with SEC, and this will bring the board's policy in compliance to that. We're recommending this to the full board.
So moved.
Second.
By Mrs. Russell, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones? Aye. Mrs. Camworth? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye. Dr. Williams?
Thank you, Ms. Stearns. Board members, I'm pleased to present to you item 11.6, our curriculum handbook changes for the next school year. In your packet, you had information describing all these changes in greater detail. I just wanted to take the opportunity to review those changes, also to make our public aware of them, and kind of just highlight some significance. First of all, in special education, the department wants to add a fourth-year consumer math course to help develop financial independence of our students as they transition to their post-secondary life. In the area of fine arts, while I'm going to present some changes for dropping courses, this is not going to impact staff or maintaining our staff. In some cases, it's a repackaging of some of the courses and the introduction of a new course. So first off, the staff would like to drop American music. It was a semester class that they tried a couple years ago, but there hasn't been any student interest. They want to take that off the books. Audio Engineering 1 is a semester class, and Audio Engineering 2 is a full-year course. The teachers felt that they would like to combine the content, but also bring the course more towards what music standards are all about, which is about teaching songwriting, the history of music, really focusing on that, putting less of an emphasis on the software, which was taking too much time to get through. So that new course, Songwriting and Digital Music, is actually a combination of Audio Engineering 1 and 2, and kind of rebranded. It'll be still the district course offered at Bremen, so of course if Bremen students will take it at that location, and attending Hillcrest students will take it here at Hillcrest. Another new course, so this one is brand new, is iPad Digital Music. It's taking advantage of now the fact that our students are having iPads. So next year, it's moving up, so our juniors have iPads, sophomore, freshmen. This would be a year-long course offered at all 4 schools. Again, to kind of tap into students that may not actually want to be part of the band, a normal musical program. They may not want to sing, but they have interest in music. And they want to learn how to write music, and also through digital music, being able to use their iPads. For example, GarageBand is a very popular app out there, and that would be the software that they would use to teach this new digital music course. So again, it's not going to impact staff, it's just kind of a repackaging. In the area of career and tech ed, Dr. Nakata did some research, and we're going to introduce Introduction to Engineering. It's a year-long course. We're going to pilot it as a district class next school year, open through 9th and 12th graders. And it's based off of the nationally recognized Project Lead the Way program, which really kind of puts students in problem-based learning. It's a combination of online curriculum with that problem-based learning, and also developing connections and partnerships with communities. We're focusing on the engineering strand because we have a partnership already established with South Suburban College, that if a student has an interest in engineering, they can go and start their career at South Suburban and then transfer into Northern Illinois to complete their degree in 2 years. And so we want to develop that pathway in the career and tech ed and see how that goes, and look to expand possibly other Project Lead the Way strands are in biomedical science and also in computer science. So we're going to start with engineering because it taps into a lot of courses we already have. The most significant changes are coming in physical education, and I want the board to know, under the direction of Mrs. Chrisafetted, the teachers are extremely excited about the offerings that they're going to be introducing to students. They're taking their year-long courses, and so what you're going to see is kind of formality of we're doing away with the old classes, and they're going all semester-based. Right? And so they're going to be offering a lot more choice to students. So in your packet, you had a flow chart that really talked about, there's in essence 3 strands that they're really targeting. Courses that are designed for our traditional athletes, courses that are designed to develop students' leadership skills, and courses that are designed to promote lifetime fitness, which underlines all of the courses. We really want students to be lifelong fitness learners, so that when they walk into health club, they know exactly what to do, they understand nutrition, they understand how to take care of their body. Okay, so let me go through some of those changes. It may seem on paper like we're adding a lot of staff, but again, it's taking those year-long courses and breaking them into semesters. So there is a 4-year PE requirement, so you're not adding any new staff. All these kids have to take PE anyway, if that makes sense. And a lot of these courses are they may run in some buildings and not on others, because again, it's about student choice. Okay. So first off, in the area of freshman year, we're taking that freshman PE, again, breaking it into 2 semester classes. So first of all, lifetime fitness and activities 1 would be for students that are not necessarily your athletes, but want to just learn different parts of games, kind of looking at the intramural side of it. Students that really like the competitive side, they can participate in competitive sports and fitness. So that's on the PE side. The other side of it, they have to take health as a freshman. So we would have our traditional health course, but then we want to also offer a comprehensive health for students that want to dive deeper into some of the advanced topics that are in health. In sophomore year, we're doing away with the traditional sophomore PE. This is where you're going to start seeing those 3 strands kind of develop. We want to offer team sports, lifetime fitness and activities 2, which would actually come into play in the 2018 school year. So a few of these classes, I'm asking the board to approve now. It's really exciting to kind of tapping into when the field houses are ready. Some of these new courses are going to come online in the 2018-19 school year, but the teachers in the next school year to get those developed. Okay? So that's one of the lifetime fitness and activities. We want to offer athletic development, power strength 1 and power strength 2. These again are for your athletes that really want to hone in on power lifts and working on the muscles for their particular sports. Coming in the 18-19 school year is focusing on sports training in their off season, continuing to develop their muscles and their skill sets in their off season. In sophomore conditioning, we want to remove that class, replace with lifetime fitness and activities 3. Competitive team sports, because they still wanted to participate in competitions. Leadership training, PE swim leader, so once they take leadership training, they could be a PE swim leader. And also our PROUD program, which we have at Oak Forest and at Bremen, is learning how to work with students with physical impairments and how to provide activities that meet their needs. In aquatics, right now it's a year-long program, but the teachers feel like some students don't necessarily want to swim all the time, but they want to learn how to be swim instructors. So we're taking that aquatics course and breaking it into 2 parts. Students can take WSI training. So once they complete that course and get their water safety instructor license, then as a senior they can go into PE classes and support the PE teacher in the pool as they're teaching swim to our students. They can also then continue on with lifeguard training as a separate course. In the 2018-19 school year, they want to introduce swim for everyone because some students just want to play water polo, they just want to do water aquatics, just do other types of things rather than just swimming laps. In the area of conditioning and weight training, right now what I propose to teaching and learning, the title was Pure Cardio. Since our meeting, the PE department actually surveyed the students about all these course names just to see how they would react to it. Very few students were attracted to the name Pure Cardio. So they asked, well, why? We're like, well, anything that's cardio in it, we're not interested. So we're going to make the change. We're going to call it Fusion Fitness. Okay, so just make that known, and I'll make that change. I'll make that change in the board packet.
Will that be deceiving to what the curriculum is?
The course description is still there, but sometimes a lot of students don't read the description, they're attracted to the name.
Right.
So
as long as they know what they're getting into.
If they're attracted to the name, okay, I'll read a little bit further. Health clubs, so that's something, again, training students when they walk into, especially our brand new fitness centers, when we walk in there, it can be very intimidating. We want our students to be able to walk into a health club and recognize what to be able to do with different machines, how to participate in different classes. This would also introduce some nutrition. Again, have more lifetime fitness. In the 18-19 school year, they would introduce studio fitness, which is more of your large group, your Zumbas and courses of that nature. Strength and conditioning, we want to replace with outdoor adventure education. We're actually piloting that right now at Oak Forest in our Bridges program for our behavior support students. So it's learning orienteering skills, how to set up a tent, how to survival skills, things of that nature. And then we're taking our PROUD program that's in existence, just breaking it into semester, so it's more than just a formality of renaming, recoding, but that program will still stay in place. We're dropping senior leadership because we've replaced it with those other leadership programs that I talked about. And then BSP Fitness 1 and 2 is a specific section dedicated for our behavior support students. And so what they'll do in there is really based on student choice and kind of seeing what the needs are. Right now they're piloting that outdoor adventure education. So the Teaching and Learning Committee, along with the superintendent, are recommending full board approval of all these course changes. Yes, ma'am.
You said, now what, can you remind, the tech ed deals with, does that deal with music too, or that?
No, the career in tech ed, the introduction to engineering, is strictly, that's not in the fine arts department. That's So remember, we took business and family consumer science and IT, and they're now the current tech ed department.
Okay. Then also, why do we only offer the programs for the special needs trainees in Oak?
Okay, so specifically the PROUD program. So at Oak Forest, we have the students that are in Destiny. Those students are our most physically challenged students. Oftentimes they're in wheelchairs, or they have limitations that they couldn't do the traditional games that they would have in a regular PE setting. So it's a program designed. Students actually learn how to work with students that have impairments and design physical activities that they would be able to participate in. So that program is only at Oak Forest. And at Bremen, the students work with the Excel students. So again, they may not have necessarily the same physical limitations, but learning how to work with students with disabilities. So that's only because those programs are only in those two schools. Hillcrest and Tinley do not have those programs.
And then on the
wait, I'm going to make the motion.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to.
Oh, yes, the motion.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
So moved. All right, I will move it. Mr. Johnson seconded. Anything else?
That was pretty much it. Audio engineering, less software. I think that's it.
I just have, I can see the digital music, us utilizing the kids in those classes. Maybe they want to do their own show, or the school can use them somehow. And I'm a little concerned about the sound systems at Hillcrest and Bremen. The Hillcrest especially just sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. All right. So we may need to do something with those. In either the gym or the cafeteria, I think it's terrible.
Right. Because even when we had, like, I know, when we had the NHS program, we had so many technical difficulties. It's like, it was great that the speaker knew how to speak audibly where you didn't have to use it. So it was irritating. It was just irritating. So I don't know if we have any ones.
Yeah, I know the sound system in the gym at Hillcrest, I think, has been an issue. We did purchase portable system for when we're in the cafeteria.
I don't think the portable didn't work at homecoming.
That night it was having difficulty.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a mic or just something else, but
it just be a service. We'll look at it.
It wasn't working that night.
Okay. So do we have the equipment to support the class?
Well, the iPad, the iPad is just the iPad. So all the students have that. And then the revised, what was audio engineering, we already own the equipment, the keyboards, the Reason software, and again, we'll be able to integrate to the iPad. And so it's no new equipment. It's just
I know a couple programs are really, really good at that, especially they depend on the people I've used before.
Yeah, and we already have all that.
So we already have that. I think that's an excellent idea because I've actually used some of the programs that I think it's important for them to go in. How would they be able to, are they going to be able to bring that into the college situation too? Integrate that into the college curriculum?
You know, they've gone around and around with the, what they're using and I know I'm just probably mess up which software, because we use Pro Tools and we use Reason, and they've been kind of going back and forth. I think Pro Tools is the industry standard. But what they're finding, it takes so long just to teach the students how to use the software that the course is over. And so they really want to focus on the development of music and not put the emphasis on the software so much.
It is a big program.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's very intimidating, which is why a lot of students don't sign up for it.
So we're combating that by integrating another program basically, but it shows you all aspects.
Yes.
Instead of just one.
That they never really get to fully practice.
You don't get to use it.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Canning.
Aye.
Mrs. Jones.
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth. Aye. Mrs. Wrestler.
Aye.
11.7, change to personnel. Under resignations, Dasha Abernathy, Robert Reiser. Under leaves, Christina Blair, Keith Anderson, Peter Matushek, and Ellen Nielsen. And under employment, Rosario Carmil, Christina Lim, Dasha Abernathy, Tasia Drake, and Monica Abbott. The board's personnel committee met on November the 7th, and they reviewed the items on the agenda, and they are now being presented to the full board for approval.
Second.
Mrs. Jones, second by Mr. Cannon. Any discussion?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Mrs. Ressler?
Aye. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to close session to consider information regarding compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Jones, second by Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Jones? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Ms. Stearns?
Return to
Open session.
open session.
That Mrs. Jones, seconded. I'll second.
Moved by Mrs. Jones, second by Mrs. Camworth. Roll call.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Ms. Stearns?
Aye. Our announcements are Personnel Committee meets on December 12th, 6:30 at the Ed Center. Finance Committee, December 12th, 7 p.m. at the Ed Center. Teaching and Learning, Tuesday, 12/13, 6:30 at the Ed Center. Next board meeting will be Tuesday, December 20th, 7 p.m. at Bremen High School. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.